Okay, let me just go ahead.
Let me see if I can pull up the comments here so I can see the
Just
Q&A.
go.
Hey, I guess we're live, right?
Yes.
Hello, my fellow vapors. Welcome to another edition of the Roundtable here with the Vape Team Media. I know it's been a while. So before we get into my details, let me start off with my team. And of course, ladies first, the lovely Stephanie. What's up, Stephanie?
Hello, how's it going?
We're doing well. Long time no see.
I
Is your
know.
is your is your house still up, or have you burned it down?
Well, we haven't burned it down again, but we're trying to put it back together again.
How's that
We're
going
almost
for
there.
you?
We're almost there. We've got to do the drywall, paint it, and we should be good to go. It's just been waiting on permits and stuff that's been so hard.
Well, other than that, what else is going on with real life?
Whew. I got a lot going on. A lot. I'm sorry I haven't been around too much. I'm trying to put my house back together. I'm trying to plan my wedding after 8 long years.
You just now
Tomorrow,
getting married?
I'm just now getting married, yeah, in November.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah,
Where you gonna be?
so
Where you getting married at?
here in Sebring at my local church that I go to. So
Oh, maybe we should make an impromptu vape team wedding appearance down there.
I would love to.
Some
Yeah.
live media coverage.
Get some live media coverage.
Well, James was saying the other day, are you going to be vaping in your wedding dress? I'm like, I might have to get rid of you. Are you serious with that?
Oh, why not? Why not?
That's what
How's
it
your
is,
vape
so.
life going?
The same as ever. I've fallen in love with the Nautilus tank, so I've been using many of them. I found out about them before, but I got them in Miami, and I've just been obsessed. So
Nice.
We should talk about that later because I've had a lot of problems with mine. So
We
we should make
we're
put that
certainly
on the
going to
bullet
talk
list.
about. I've got it in my notes about the tank the tank situation going on. All right, let me move on down the line, of course, to my shiny bearded friend, Mr. James Martin. What's up, James?
Not too much, Dimitri. I got some vape mail today, so I'm excited about that.
I'm
But
kind of pissed.
yeah, I know. I got the Vapor Shark 18650.
How is it?
It's nice. I was really resistant to it for a long time because I like to vape at high wattage, but it works well, and I like the form factor. I've just got a little cyclone on top here.
Yeah, I ordered it, and it's supposed to be 2-day shipping. I'm supposed to get it in today, but it didn't come in today, so hopefully I'll get it tomorrow. Is the button metal on it?
I can't really tell. It does look metallic,
Mhm.
but it still has that glowing ring around the outside
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
fire it.
Wow, what kind of build do you have in that? It's like a chimney coming out of that thing.
I think it's a .5 on here, so .5 at 27, 28 watts.
Anything else going exciting, James?
Not really too much. Definitely have a slew of devices and atomizers to review here, and some juices. We picked up some good juice while we were in Springfield.
Springfield, yeah.
Fog's Brew. I've got some Fog's Brew to review. This stuff is really tasty, and they're using child-safe glass drip bottles,
Yeah,
which I really like. We
Yeah.
haven't seen a lot of that yet.
yeah, and it's at MOV. We just got our shipment in. It was well, we didn't have a problem with the big bottles. The little bottles we couldn't find it, but now we found childproof for the droppers for the small bottles because everybody you're gonna have to have them anyway. You might as well make the transition now into the bottles and the labels, and that's one of the things that we're going to talk about a little bit later. I do have some rants today, Mr. Dane. Speaking about Mr. Dane, what is up with you?
Hey, Dimitri, I'm doing well. I got a little vape mail this week as well. A little K-Fun action going here on a Proto Vapor DNA device there, which I really like a lot. And one of my new favorites, a Typhon GT, which I'm really, really enjoying.
Is that the Typhon GT? I have it, and it was a pain in the butt for me to build for some reason. I didn't really enjoy it.
It is a little hard, but we muddled our way through it, and it's good now. I had help, so I can't take full responsibility.
I hope you're still happy when you have to rebuild it.
Probably not. It'll end up getting thrown.
All right, we're going to get the Q&A session here unlocked in a little bit. If you have any questions for us, and I do have a couple questions that have come in through our Twitter feed, please tweet us at Vape Team, and I'm sure to keep my eye on until we get this this Q&A thing working
It's
here
not
for
gonna
the show.
work. I
Yeah,
forgot
it
to
has
enable
to be
before the show.
Right. So they're going to have to
Oopsies.
tweet us questions.
All right, tweet us question at Vape Team, and we'll make sure we're going to keep an eye on it. I'm sure we're going to cover some of the drama questions that you guys might have. A lot of drama going on lately in the community and in the industry as well. So before we get to that, of course, our technical producer, Mr. James. Excuse me, Jamie. What's up?
I'm someone, you know.
Yes, you are.
Liver. I'm sitting here in the dark because my camera likes to blow out my image when I'm sitting here with the lights on. So, you know, I'll just sit in the dark.
How's life?
Life is insanely busy. Running a store is like having a newborn. I'm sure Stephanie can relate. We're looking for some employees. We had a good time at the show. It was really great seeing everyone. Stephanie, Dane, I really wish you could have been there. It was a blast. In the few moments that I have spare time, I've been building my own. My wife likes to call them Anna-mods. This is my Cloudpore DNA 30 clone that I got, and the chip promptly up and died. So I replaced it with a DNA 30, and then I went on Reddit and I bought a broken Cloudpore with the trademark logo on it. Woohoo! For $27, and I put a DNA 20 in it. So
you better expect a lawsuit soon for my.
I'm not selling them. I'm just using them. But I've got the DNA 30 with a 0.5 ohm build that I built earlier today because you know I'm all about the sub ohms.
Yeah, I know you are.
I go W. Oh yeah.
So let me ask you, Jamie, the Cloudpore, I mean, we know that the DNA chip that they're using is a clone, and I've talked to Brandon about this. He says a lot of the safety features were left off. Aside from the fact that it took a crap on you after a few days, when it was vaping, how did it perform?
I wish I had Phil's equipment because I really wanted to throw it on a scope and get some numbers off of it. It seemed like it worked well. But mine stopped detecting the atomizer after 2 weeks. I've had one guy who bought one online and came into my store and showed it to me. And then the next day he comes in and says, it started smoking and the screen was literally melted. So they're going to replace it. The vendor he bought it from is going to replace it. But I've heard of a lot of problems people having trouble with these.
Yeah.
And it really scares me. And I wanted to sell them. I've been looking for something like this, the clone, that is cheap. But I just have moral objections to selling something that, first off, I mean, I wouldn't sell these because obviously they have trademark material on them.
Right.
But a lot of these are booting up and saying Evolve DNA. If it booted up and it just went right to the menu, I'd be okay. But I don't want any trademark material on any of these. And I feel bad buying something that's clearly a clone of someone I know's technology.
And here's the problem that I have with it as well, too, James, and I want you to chime in here, is like when people are buying a regulated device, one of the biggest reasons that they're buying it for is safety, right? I mean, you have this ease of mind, if you want to transition from a mechanical mod into a regulated device, that you can run that high wattage and still have some protection. And obviously, as in Jamie's case, and in other cases that I've seen online with this chip, that is not the case.
Right, and that's the thing. I think China is making some strides. I believe the SX chip and the 722 is a little bit better as far as the safety goes than the HANA DNA or the DNA clone chips, but they are coming out with some pretty interesting stuff. I think they're actually coming out with a 100-watt chip next.
The SX series?
Yeah.
I mean, I have I picked up at VCCNE the Sigelli 30-watt, and other than that weird gravity switch, which I don't quite get, it works pretty darn well. I mean, there's some build quality issues with it, but at least it's not a clone of someone else's technology.
Right. And the Sigelli 20, which I reviewed a while back, I thought was really impressive. I mean, in fact, I put it up there with the Ego Twist and some of the other revolutionary items that have come out of China for the past 3 or 4 years. And there's not a lot of them because most of them have been clones. But there are some good devices coming out. But how do you determine if you're a new vapor? What are you getting? I mean, you want to have that ease of mind and that you're vaping safely, and then all of a sudden smoke's coming out of your regulated device.
Yeah, that's a good point. One of the things that I did notice, though, is with these the availability issues.
My fire alarm's going off. I'm going to mute and go deal with it. Have fun, guys.
Okay, all right.
Well, he set his fire alarm off. This is Vape Bash all over again, folks.
You shouldn't be sub-ohming, Jamie.
I was going to say that totally creeped me out, and I just thought it was your house again.
Hopefully nothing's actually on fire.
I thought it
Please
was
tell me to take my
mine.
headphones off.
What I was saying is I noticed there's quite a few modders who are using the SX chips because now the availability is there. They can actually order them from China and get just the chip, and they're putting them into enclosures themselves and selling those here on the market in the U.S. I think one of the issues that Evolve has had is, despite the fact that they're working hard to get the chips out, they can't keep up with the demand for DNA 30s.
Yeah.
Because I know that's what Ed has said. You know, Ed from Smoke Free Mods, maker of the Spyder, which we are doing the giveaway for this evening. We've collated all of the comments. But Ed had a problem getting DNAs, and he had a long-standing order. So it's been a supply and demand issue with Evolve's chips.
Yeah,
Certainly.
and I mean, no matter how much Brandon ramps up his production, and by the way, I set it off by sub-ohming in my office.
Nice.
Nice.
Join the
I'm not
club
gonna
now,
do that.
Jamie.
Yeah. Did you disable the smoke detectors in your office, James?
No, I have not. But fortunately, we don't have the type that detects vapor. We have the particle
Yeah.
detector.
I guess I don't. I've never set it
No.
off before after all these years of doing or this year and a half of doing the show in this apartment. So I guess 0.5 ohms is a little too much for it.
Yeah.
But he can't keep up with demand. I mean, I went to get a DNA 30 to put in this guy, and I couldn't find them anywhere. I had to go on eBay, and I paid $13 more than retail, which, you know, is better than some other gouging that could have occurred. But he can't, he even as quickly as he increases production, those orders
Can you bump up your microphone a little bit, Jamie?
as
It's a little bit
quickly
low.
as he increases production, he can't produce them. So, I mean, those orders are absorbed immediately, and that's a big problem in this industry right now, is just meeting the supply and demand.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I understand. Do you think maybe, Dane, that this is a little bit intentional as well, too, kind of limiting the supply? Because, you know, this happens a lot. Whether you're a new vapor, I mean, most of the veteran vapors know this, but some of the new vapors might not know this, that there is sometimes a shortage created, whether it's e-liquid, whether it's a device, whether it's an atomizer, whether it's a drip tip, simply, you know, to kind of like build up the hype.
We have certainly seen that before, haven't we? We've
Absolutely.
certainly seen it with mods. Everybody who's been around a while remembers the iHybrid debacle, and those were very, very limited runs. I'm one of those guys that disagrees with limited runs. If you're in a run, make it big. You have a pretty good idea by now how many you're going to sell. Get that many out there.
Yeah.
I mean, but Dane, that's hard even to predict. If you're building things,
Yeah.
you need a certain amount of capital and a certain amount of resource time. I mean, a lot of these people that are making these mods don't do it in their own facilities with their own dedicated equipment. They're in a shared environment where they're sharing a CNC with other companies that need it. So, I mean, you can only get so much time on the machine, so much material, and you need to float that amount of money to build the device and then sell them to get more money to build more devices. So,
Sure.
I mean,
That's understandable if you're new.
Yeah.
It is. It's understandable if you're a new modder or if you're new into technology.
I agree.
But if you're established and you've been around for a while, you have a pretty good idea just based upon your sales numbers.
I mean,
from the previous year.
if you don't know, Evolve is basically the people that they didn't invented wattage, but they brought variable wattage, regulated power to vaping. All right.
And they'll soon have a patent on it.
Yeah, they had the first chip out there that could do. So they've been around for a very long time, way before I started vaping. Well, not way before, but before I started vaping. So I think that at this point there should be enough demand out there, and of course, you know, there's always something new that they're working on. I did get to see the new chip when I was in Vegas, the new chip that they've been working on. I can talk about the 20.2, which is going to have a step-down system that they've been working on as well. And also, I don't know if you guys know this, but Evolve has made a deal with Inokin. So soon you're going to be seeing Inokin devices coming out of China with an authentic DNA board in it, which I think is great.
Thank God.
Collaborating a Chinese company with an American company putting out a product. And Inokin has been known to be, you know, not all of their products, but most of the products have been you know, solid. Having a good chip in it, I think it's a good idea. So I think a lot of that going on, plus, you know, everything else is kind of putting them behind for the modders. But as an ease of use, to wrap this thing up with a chip, and Stephanie, you vape on a DNA device now. I mean, being somebody, you know, fairly new. Well, I mean, you're not new at this point, but I mean, being fairly into the regulated devices and the DNA devices, don't you want to have that feeling of security that when you're going to put an atomizer on there, whatever you're going to, press the button, if the atomizer is not correct and it's shorting out, you want your device to be safe. If your charging cycle to be safe, the way that it's outputting power, you want that ease, that ease of use and peace of mind.
And not just for me. One thing, I'm going to come back to that, but Jamie, does this mean it's time to pass on the MVP DNA mod to me? But yes. But also, I get questions every day, like on Facebook, Twitter, things like that. And I think most people want to jump into the DNA device now. So it's not just for me. Of course, I want to know that it's safe. But I think a lot of people are making that jump a lot quicker than we used to. And they need to be safe as well, knowing that whatever they put on there, if it's not going to work, it's not going to work, and that's a good thing.
Certainly, and I've been kind of scared because I know people ask me all the time through my YouTube channel and through Facebook, especially, should I try a clone?
Right.
And I said, if that's what you can afford, go ahead. But now I can't say this with this device because it's simply with the safety issues.
Right.
And I don't want to sound like I'm an elitist or something, tell them to go get a DNA board, because I have recommended clones in the past to people that have been on a budget. But if there's a safety issue, there's no way that I can recommend that. I'd rather they go get an SX chip.
The difference is that with a mechanical, you're cloning a piece of equipment. You're cloning a tube with a button on it, and it's hard to mess that up. Surely it's been messed up. We've seen it in the past. But now we're actually cloning the DNA runs on a processor that would have been in a smartphone 3 years ago. It has an ARM processor in it, running code to do all this power calculation and drive the screen and do all that. And it's got a lot of technology in it for safety. And as you said, Brandon, the first thing Brandon said when he saw this device was the first thing they removed was the safety features.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as a store owner, I would kill for a device that could drive 30 watts and is relatively safe and relatively cheap. I mean, safer than a mechanical. But right now, that product area, other than like the Sigelli 30 watt, which is still a little hard to come by, there is no chip that is readily available that I could just go to a wholesaler and say I want 50 of those.
Yeah.
There isn't really much of that, and hopefully that changes over the next few months, especially with Inikin working with Evolve.
I'm going to pick up a couple questions from Twitter. The first question that came in today is, can you help me get a vape shop started by advertising my funding campaign? No. Open a shop like everybody else. Work hard and save some money and put it in there. What are you doing, a fundraising campaign? We're not. Hey, listen, vaping is not a savior. I know it's been a savior to a lot of us, but it still is a business, and it's still an addictive hobby, okay? We're transitioning to vaping. It's an alternative to smoking, all right? Don't make it act like, we're, going out there trying to save lives and doing a crowdfunding campaign to raise money to open up a shop. I'm totally against that. It's happened in the past, and I've talked about it before, and I think everybody on this board here agrees with me. Correct, gentlemen and ladies?
Definitely.
All right, let me take another question here. This is coming from Vincent. By the way, Vincent does these great apps. Budgetvaping.com is his website for various shops and also for CASA. He's actually working on an app for us here, the Vape Team, too. He's told me about 3 months ago. He's a little bit slow, but I understand. Here's his question. And I'll start with you, James. If you were to invent electronic cigarettes, what would you call them besides electronic cigarettes? I think that's a great question.
Magic unicorns.
The personal electronic nicotine inhalant system.
All right, we got one there, Dane.
I still like personal vaporizer, PV.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like PV.
Stephanie?
We talked about this before, so I guess I don't really count. They need to be called electronic cigarettes. That's just my opinion. It tells everybody what they are. It helps people make the transition, so I guess I can't really answer.
I think you're right. Jamie?
I said magic unicorns.
Magic unicorns. Yeah, that's a good.
It's such at this point in time, it's not even worth debating. I mean, the government's like, well, an e-hookah is the same thing as an e-cig, is the same as a bloody blah. It's just words. We need these things to work and keep people off traditional tobacco. The name doesn't matter at this point. We're all up S Creek without a paddle.
I agree. And also, let's not forget, because a lot of people, this is a great debate that's been going on about, do you think that are we still smokers or are we vapors now? And if you ask yourself that question, how are you going to answer it? If vaping was taken away from you tomorrow, James, would you go back to smoking?
No, no. I don't think I would. I would probably go through some withdrawal. I wouldn't be a happy camper. But if you think about the classification that the insurance companies are using, we're considered nicotine users. That's the way they look at it.
But but obsessive coffee drinkers don't have their rates risen because they spend $40 a week. You know,
that is true.
$70 a week at Starbucks. It blows my mind. I mean, crap. I lost my point.
What, do we know the lobbying behind coffee, though? Do we know the lobbying behind cigarettes?
It's called Starbucks.
Yeah,
They're huge.
Yeah, there's a lot of lobbying, I'm sure, that goes on behind closed doors for the coffee bean business, and we just haven't gotten there yet. I believe that the industry will get there. I think we have enough time.
Yeah, I think we need lobbying because right now nicotine is evil. But
Absolutely.
Nicotine isn't the problem. Nicotine is a great drug, and the delivery device we've been using for the past 1,000 years is flawed.
Well, I think one of the things too, you have it is a drug, but it's a stimulant, and that's probably the proper way to, when you're talking about it, to use that terminology, because people always associate nicotine with cigarettes. That's the problem. That is basically what we're fighting against, is trying to classify basically a new product, a new way of intaking that nicotine. But again, theobromine and caffeine, also stimulants, also in the same family, similar effects on the body. And of the three, there's been a plethora of studies showing that nicotine is the most beneficial because of how it affects the dopamine centers in the brain. Obviously, you know, Michael J. Fox Foundation heavily investing in research about the benefits of nicotine use for people that have Parkinson's. So there's a plethora of different
certainly. Comment from Stefan Didak: they should be called miracle sticks because the way they work is nothing short of a miracle. I agree, but it brings up a good question because the big pharmaceutical companies are promoting nicotine, right? Just today I posted on my wall this ad that was, I think this is in a UK bus or train or subway, that has don't vape, quit for good, use Nicorette, quick mist for fast craving relief. And on the bottom it says do something incredible, which would be quit smoking, which you can't through those products. I think that's been proven. But I mean, there's another example of why is it that nicotine through those methods is acceptable, but nicotine through any other method except tobacco cigarettes is not acceptable?
Because the tobacco companies and the pharmaceutical companies have more money than God.
I read an article that said that tobacco companies actually wanted to demonize smoking as well. It was kind of weird. This happened back in the 80s as the tobacco companies were making that deal with the FDA, and they know they're not going to have any shortage of customers. Anything that they do, anything that's going to be taxed, anything that's going to be imposed by the government, it's going to fall to the consumer. We're the ones that are going to pay for our habits, just like we've been paying for years when we smoke. We paid our sin tax for killing ourselves. So to them, it doesn't make any difference whether they restrict it, if they ban it in parks, if they can ban cigarette smoking everywhere. People are going to still smoke. We're never going to have it stop. And the pharmaceutical companies, of course, are trying to get on the bandwagon. All right, let me move on. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Let me see here. Oh, okay. Here's another question from Twitter that quickly we can ask her. Which do you prefer, Hana Mods or Vapor Shark DNA? James, do you have both?
I had a Hana for about 3 weeks, and I guess it's I use a lot of mechanicals, so yeah. I'm probably not a good person to ask, but so far I'm liking the Vapor Shark better. I don't know. This new one is actually user serviceable as far as switching out cells, which I like.
Yeah.
And I like the form factor. It has a real solid feel to it. I know at least with the Hana that I had, when I took it apart, there was quite a bit of hot glue inside. Mm-hmm. So from a construction standpoint, I think I would have to give the edge to the Shark right now.
I have both. Well, I got the 18650 coming in, and I've had nothing but issues with the Hana. First of all, my 510 connection was crooked, which I talked about in my video review, which I have to update. And I took it to grease, and now it says check atomizer every 5th or 6th press of the button. So there's obviously something loose inside there, too. So if I had to pick one, as it stands right now, based on quality control, my wife has had the Vapor Shark DNA 20 for over a year now. She's dropped it. If you look at it, I'm actually going to do a video from Greece about it and compare the new one because she has a new small Vapor Shark DNA as well. But it's been performing flawlessly. So based on those examples that I've had through my experience with him, I would certainly say the Vapor Shark DNA. Jamie.
Well, I don't have a Vapor Shark taken apart right now. I got one in Springfield, and I gave it to Helene because that was a condition of me actually buying it, was that it was Helene's device. But it seems much better quality control and production-wise than the Hannah mod. I mean, I don't have a real Hannah. I have these clones that I built myself, but if the real construction is anything like the construction in the clones, which I'm pretty sure it is, they're charging $200. What's the retail on a Hannah?
$279 at brick and mortar stores. What I say I'm here about $250 online. I'm guessing.
That's insanity. It's held together with freaking hot melt glue. It's got about $80 worth of parts in it. So they're clearly raking in the cash. Yet they can't make them fast enough, and their quality control is going to heck.
Well, you know what? The one thing that I'll say about Hannah, though, is to give them all due credit, is that was the first custom-designed enclosure for a DNA chip, short of the Darwin, of course. Yeah. But if you look at the design, I mean, they have the cutout and everything else.
Yeah, the Opus. Okay, the Opus was original. Opus. It was probably the most commercially available box mod featuring the DNA. But let's not forget the whole fiasco now with the lawsuits going on, and that side that's kind of affected. I'm sure it's going to affect the sales at some point. A lot of people are pissed off by the way that Hannah mods went after these vendors, and I don't know if I've talked about this in the past, but I will say what my opinion is. And my opinion was that, and still is, that Hannah mods should have put out a press release that says, we intend to go after vendors that sell clone mods with our logo on there. Based on trademark law alone, if you just want to put the trademark law, you can't go after anybody when you're pending a trademark. And you can look it up. Their trademark is still pending. It's not. They haven't been granted it. In fact, a company down in Florida, their insurance company is countersuing Hannah Mods right now, which I don't know if a lot of people know. But they've accepted the lawsuit and they're going to go after and countersue them as well too. So that whole drama situation has really put a damper over the company, as well with some of the issues that were coming up with the device.
I think Hannah Mod should have handled it exactly like all these mech manufacturers are handling it. Make the best product you can, make as many of them as you can, get them out there as quickly as possible, sell as many as you can, and then move on to the next big thing. Yeah. Because that's the only way to do it. I mean, this industry blows my mind sometimes at the fact that people... This industry is the highest per capita concentration of people with pitchforks and torches of any other industry I've dealt with. I mean, maybe other than the video game industry. But it's just keep moving forward. We need to all just keep moving forward and keep innovating. Sure, absolutely. I agree. Speaking of companies that shot themselves in the foot, there's a couple to talk about here while we're on this topic. And this was actually tweeted. How about this AmeriVape drama, James? This Manhattan mod is just blowing up this past week, including the video that Twisted put out there. Do you have any background on it, James, or you want me to kind of go through the process?
I don't. I'm not familiar with Twisted's video. What happened there?
All right, so the AmeriVape put out the Manhattan mod, and there were some issues with venting. Todd talked about it on his video, and the company actually threatened to sue Todd, sue a reviewer because it says his opinion was the stupidest thing. Anyway, that kind of died down, and then the clone was announced, of course, out of China, and the company put out a statement saying we're going to stop production of this model, which was a competition, by the way. I can't believe that we have competition mods now, right? I'm just not buying that, right? But anyway, it was a competition mod. They're going to stop production because the clone is coming out, and they don't want their customers to, between the real one and the fake one, whatever. That's fine. Then it pops up that the owner of the company a year ago has a video on his YouTube using clones.
Yeah.
And all this just kind of broke this last week, and there's a whole AmeriVape trending hashtag that's pretty bad. I don't want to say it here. Go ahead, James.
I actually did hear about the the debacle with Todd and the subsequent response. I've got a Manhattan here with a battery in it. Mm-hmm. Do you see anything here? Okay. There's no sticker on this battery. Mm-hmm. No sticker, and it won't freely move. I have to really jam it to get that battery out of there. So this is the issue. it vents through the bottom. But when you have a battery loaded in it, you know, if there's no battery in it, I can actually get airflow out of it.
Yeah.
But when I drop a battery inside, no airflow. And that's one of the reasons I never reviewed it, because...
Well, those are some good tolerances right there.
Yeah,
I wish all mods have those kind of tolerance.
Well, it's a competition mod.
There are people that would say that's tolerances, and I like that in a mod. But here's another example here. I wish I could find it. I've got a vanilla mod. I just did a review on the vanilla, which has been around for a while. There's actually a gap around your battery, and your telescopic positive actually holds the battery in place to keep it from rattling. And that was done on purpose because you need that space. All of these batteries have vents at the top. When they vent, that's where they vent from. So, you know, the fact that the button vents, but it fits tight in there, means it's just going to blow right out the top if it can get past the connector.
Yeah.
And the insulator.
Yeah, and I see, to me, companies that do stuff like that and publicly engage. This past Wednesday on Smoke Free Radio, I had Ruby Ryu on, a reviewer that had that issue with the hash e-liquids that went on her wall and her YouTube channel and just publicly blasted her. There is no reason if you're a company to go out there and put yourself in a situation like that. There's absolutely no reason. This community is venomous. It's malicious. They're going to come after you, especially if you attack one of their own. You can easily solve this in a private conversation. You don't have to publicly go out there and make statements like that and make you look like an idiot. Dane, I know, I know, drama is rampant, but I mean, don't you agree? I mean, it's something that we learned in the restaurant business as well too.
Yeah, it is. I would have liked to have seen that handled different as well, and now I guess they're pulling it off the market. I don't know if these issues were brought to them before. I will say this though. I'll give my opinion on 420's video. I watched it. I watched it from start to finish. I'm also not one of those guys who stands there with a megaphone and points and goes, "Look at what that guy did."
Right.
Because then I think you're contributing to the problem and not contributing to the solution.
Yeah.
You can point it out as an objective reporter and say, "Hey, look, there's some known issues with this mod. I wouldn't recommend getting it," as opposed to going into a profanity-laced tirade about how bad they are and creating a new hashtag that says, you know, F Amerivape. Right. To me, that's unnecessary, and that's going a little bit too far. There's other
that's something
ways
that
to
I would never do that. I mean, even if I have something to say that is against the company, I'll use a professional way to say it. And if you know me long enough, you know if I like something, if I don't like something. But yeah, that complete tirade was a little bit overblown. But I mean, that's his style as well too, and the people that follow him, you know, kind of dig that style. So I see where he's coming from.
Just before we move on.
Yeah.
So, James, if a battery was to vent, the first thing it's going to do is swell before it vents. Yeah. So it's going to fill that tube immediately, and we don't know which side it's going to choose to vent off. And most batteries, the pressure point is at the top.
Yeah.
So, because that's where the holes are. So, but the good news is, I'm sure the clones from China won't have such good tolerances, so they'll actually be safer.
That's great. That's great.
Man.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
That's fantastic. But somebody's asking me how does feel like is a new toy, and I'm going to take a little comedy break here before I move on to the next company that shot themselves in the foot. Eddie from Mads Mods was kind enough to send us the new Arima mod for a review, and he asked me kindly if he can ship both mine and Phil's here, and then I'll just ship Phil's to him from here. So I said certainly I would be more than happy to do it. So what I did is I took a box, a priority small box, and I packaged it inside. Then I wrote on the box, "Fragile male enhancement pump," with big red letters. So I sent it to him.
Jerk.
So I sent it to him today, and he posted it on Facebook. Facebook's blowing up on it. But what's really hilarious about it is that I bought a new car this week, and it shows my texts in the screen when they come in. So he sent me a few texts saying, "Oh, you're a dick," or whatever, stuff like that. But one of the texts was talking about the actual mod itself, and the text reads, "Simple, elegant, smooth, and beautiful." So what I did is I took a picture of that, and I said, "This is Phil describing the male enhancement pump afterwards." It was fantastic. So it's a little
yeah,
funny.
and that Arima. I've got mine here. You can see it's actually Ooh, it's engraved.
Yeah,
It's got my name on it. But
That reduces the resale value. What are you thinking?
But the thing that I like about this absolutely has the best button that I have seen, a locking button on a mod.
For a recessed button, yes.
Yeah.
I find it amazing that these companies can continue innovating on the proverbial battery in a tube. It blows my mind how much thought and how much CNC time has gone into making all of these mechanical mods, and then all the people in China that go out and clone them. So,
We've seen the lock-in mechanism on the Hydra and how it clicks left and right, and this is similar, but you pull down on the switch and then you turn it and it locks it. So you kind of pull the whole thing. That way it's all flush and recessed button. So you just basically take that down and just turn it to the right and then it locks. I think it's it's another good idea. Somebody had Eddie had a good idea with a mechanical mod and he's putting it out there. And I think it's going to do very well. Plus, what I really like about it, James, it's really smooth.
Definitely. It's got a really short throw on the switch. Again, it looks good with pretty much any 22 millimeter Addy, and it's two and a quarter turns to lock it. And it does have proper venting. What actually happens is this under pressure extends out, and there is some room in the tube as well around the battery. So very elegant design, and you can't tell. There's no visible vent holes here.
Yeah.
what is it again?
It's the Rama.
Arama.
By Mads Mods.
Or Arama. Let me get to a couple more drama stories. Man, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We've been out for a while. Today, somebody tweeted me this. This ice challenge that's going on, which is ridiculous. I said it Wednesday on the show on Smoke Free Radio. We have big tobacco coming after us. We have pharmaceutical companies coming after us. We have the government coming. What are we doing? We're doing ice challenges. That's our combat, is ice challenges. But what happens with an ice challenge, if you don't know, is you get challenged by somebody to pour a bucket of ice water on you, or you have to donate $100 to your favorite charity. And I'm all about charities. I'm all about volunteering. Fuck, I know. I've been doing it here for 4 years. But listen, today Drip Club got challenged. Okay, Drip Club is a monthly subscription e-liquid company, and they got challenged, and they said we're going to donate money. And who do they donate money to, James?
I don't know.
The American Lung Association.
Oh, wow.
And not only do they donate, grasp this, Dane, all right? Grasp this. Not only do they donate, but they screenshot it and they tweet it everywhere.
I saw that picture, and it was preyed upon immediately. Everyone jumped on it.
Well, I don't know. My thoughts about it were, okay, it's good that you donated. All right. If you don't know that they're anti-e-cigs, then okay, I get it. All right. You're a new company. You should have done your homework. All this money that's being donated to the American Lung Association some of it's being used to fly American Lung Association representatives to different cities that are having proposed bans, to support the ban on e-cigs on various countries. And we saw it in Chicago, we saw it in New York, we saw it in Jersey. They're not with us. I have nothing against anybody that wants to find a cure for cancer. God, I know in my family I've been through it, okay? But please, if you're an e-liquid company, donate to somebody that's actually going to fight for your rights and not the American Lung Association. I mean, that was pretty horrible, in my opinion.
It just goes to show that no matter what happens, there's always more companies and more people that aren't following the advocacy and doing what they need to do to know what's going on in this community or in this industry. We're no longer a community. We're now an industry full out. And that just these vendors need to watch what's going on. And this has happened before. A company said that they were going to donate part of their profits to the American Lung Association, and everyone went nuts on them. Yeah. This is just ignorance.
By the way, since we don't have the Q&A working, hashtag Vape Team. I've got the hot suite open now. I can see all the tweets that are related to the show if you have any questions. All right, let me move on. I've got a couple more notes here that I want to talk about. One more thing that's really just set me off this past week. I put it in the Skype chat today, Dane. We've seen some of these e-liquid labels come out. We talked about Dripping Club that we saw in Vegas. We talked about Juicy E-Juice e-liquid line, which is absolutely horrible. That's the juice that kids drink. we saw Mountain Dew today, the entire line of Mountain Dew, like all the flavors that Mountain Dew have, and the bottle actually says MT.Dew. I mean, if you don't know that the Pepsi has, you know, some lawyers with big balls, you're totally mistaken, right?
Yeah, I don't understand this at all. And it just keeps happening over and over and over again. Sooner or later, somebody's got to get it through their thick skull that you can't put out an e-liquid. Forget a soft drink. We also saw, what else did we see today? The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles line.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles line. I mean,
that just blew me away. It just absolutely blew me. I was speechless. I said, who is the person who would decide to do something so ridiculous?
This shows the fact that this industry is run by people that have no idea how to run a business. I mean, these lawsuits are going to start flying hot and heavy soon. I mean, we already had, what, Cambridge Brands that makes Tootsie Roll and Blow Pop and stuff like that go after companies? I mean, Juicy Juice is going to get taken down by Nestle any day now. I'm just waiting for it to happen so I can laugh.
By the way, on that point, I spoke to an attorney about this, by the way, Jamie.
Yes,
I spoke to an attorney, and this is what he said. He said there's a couple of possibilities. Number one, if the company is very small, they might not do anything yet.
They'll wait for them to have money.
They wait for him to have some funds and some assets to go after, which it's pretty funny because there's a couple of companies out there that have been out for a while now. I'm not going to mention any names. I don't want anybody to come and attack me, but there are some that are using infringements, and they're getting more and more popular. And if a company is monitoring, they're like, well, we're not going to do anything now. Let's just
look what happened to Jameson's e-liquid. They got taken down by the guys that make Jameson's, whatever the heck they make, whiskey?
Sure, yeah, whiskey.
They had to change their name, right?
Right, they had to change their name. Yes, absolutely. And not only them. I know Juicy Vapor has dealt with this in the past. I know us at MOV had to deal with this in the past. Usually we get a cease and desist letter.
Azure Vapor, formerly known as Blue Mist, had to change their name because Starbuzz has a Blue Mist product, and Starbuzz makes tobacco products. So yes, there's some clear confusion that can go on. If you're using trademarked materials on your product, what is wrong with you? I just don't get it.
The problem that I have is not only the trademark, Stephanie, but the clear.
I'm Jamie.
Excuse me, Jamie. Stephanie, is the clear attraction to kids, something that we're being accused now by all these politicians of marketing to kids, and then you have people that are actually making e-liquid, making Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle e-liquid.
And really, what's the point? I mean, I'm not saying that I see the point between Mountain Dew and Juicy Juice and these things, but I kind of understand that they're trying to convey a flavor. They're going about it in the wrong way. If you're trying to make a brand for yourself, that's stupid. But what is the point of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle juice? Is that going to taste like a turtle? No. What are you trying to convey?
I don't know. They're running out of names. Somebody just put
They're
out.
trying to leech off these built-up brands and get as much money out of them as they can before they get sued.
That's going after kids.
Did anybody see that picture of the Mountain Dew juices today?
Yes.
Yeah,
Certainly did. Yeah, all of them, the entire line, like they have like a cherry and they have a, whatever. They have the entire line with Mountain Dew on them.
Yep.
Forward legal at PepsiCo.com.
Here's an interesting thought from Twitter. It wouldn't surprise me. This is by Christopher Berg. It wouldn't surprise me if it weren't the enemy putting out these juices. I mean, that's a little bit far-fetched, but there's nothing that surprises me when it comes to ants anymore. I have seen some really, really nasty and backdoor stuff over the past year that it wouldn't surprise me if it was. I would like to think that at some point, us as the community and the people that are buying this juice would pressure the vendors to do the right thing. Because I think that's really where we're hurting right now. And if we don't do it, certainly the government's going to come around and regulate it. Wasn't there a Hunger Games juice line? I think it was.
I'm sure.
If you see a vendor that is selling things that are blatant trademark violations, please do not buy them because you probably don't want to be vaping it. Because if they're stupid enough to violate trademark, chances are they're not doing the proper tests and using the proper ingredients.
But
And they probably don't have insurance.
Yeah, but even beyond that, what is the point in making Barbie e-liquid? There's no point.
There is no point. No, I mean, would you? I don't know. I mean, here's another one that Silver Zero just tweeted to us. There's a picture of this bottle. It's called Fruity Rebels. I mean, it's getting to the point where, I mean, if that is your marketing strategy to sell more e-liquid, you're doing it wrong, man.
Yeah.
You really are doing it wrong. And fads like these, they don't stick around in this community. I mean, I've seen it over and over again. If that's your competitive edge, man, you're doing it wrong. Thoughts on G-Plat wire? I'm going to let James jump in on this one. I have my own opinions, but I'm going to let you go first.
Well, the issue with G-Plat is that they were approached several times and asked to provide an MSDS for their product, and they did not. And one of the concerning things about the G-Plat wire is that it heats up quite a bit more quickly than Kanthal does. That's one of the reasons people like to use it. They can set up builds, and it heats up quickly. If you've done like a large gauge microcoil build using 24, 22, something like that, it heats up very slowly and it cools very slowly. But what that means with the G-Plat heating up quickly is that it has a different metallic composition. So basically it's something you probably want to stay away from. I believe they said there was manganese that was coming off of it. The actual Kanthal MSDS from Temco does list manganese, but it's a very minuscule amount. And with G-Plat, I believe there's a higher concentration of manganese, and there's also a higher nickel component. If you remember the old nichrome coils that people used to build with, one of the features of the nichrome was that it would pop very easily, especially in Genesis setups. It was almost impossible to use because it had such a high nickel content, it would basically just melt. You couldn't even anneal it. If you took a torch and passed it through the nichrome, a lot of times it would just melt off.
But there is manganese in every Kanthal.
Yes.
Okay, so vapors need to
is.
understand that there is there. And obviously, they're not going to release their sheet because if they do, everybody will know what the wire is, and it's not going to be G-Plat wire anymore. It's going to be what everybody else is carrying.
But a lot of it is marketing. I mean, I've got a couple packets of wire here that I haven't really even used. This is Omega wire, and I don't know. There may be people that swear by it. For me, I'm going to stick with something that I know the origin of, that I can look up an MSDS and actually get the information on.
I mean, Temco 26 gauge Kanthal annealed is there. You go.
Yeah.
Am I right, James? I mean, there you go. It's done. I think all these are just repackaged and just marketed to be like the next best things in sliced bread, and I'm not buying into it. And I've actually used the wires as well too. I've used quite a few wires, and I saw today there was another bacon cotton. Did you see that?
Bacon cotton?
Yeah, they're calling it bacon cotton, but it's supposed to be like this cotton or whatever, that's like the best cotton that's out there.
Well, there's another cotton from Japan, and I was talking to somebody at VCC.
I had a vapor give me some of that today, so I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Is that, well, there's a couple, Jamie. Did you get one that actually had like a special, like a printed, well, okay, that's probably the Kogendo.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I got.
There's another one from Japan called the Chato Sans cotton, and the guy seems like a nice guy, but his cotton is actually serialized. There's a serial number on the outside.
You gotta be kidding me.
No, I'm not kidding.
Are you sure Emio didn't make it? Maybe Emio has a cotton farm going on in the background.
So what's the deal on the Japanese cotton, James?
The Kogendo is actually pretty good, and most of these things, I'm thinking it's got more to do with the structure, because I have the Cellucotton over here. I've been using that quite a bit.
That's a whole nother topic. Hold off on that.
Well, we're not even going to talk about that, but basically all I'm saying is that all of the strands run in the same direction. So it makes it very easy for the juice to soak in there.
Right.
You can use less of it, and it seems to wick more efficiently. But there's cotton that you can get with the same type of structure. It all depends on the way it's processed.
Yeah.
But so the Cellucotton's rayon, and I went to Sally's yesterday and bought 500 feet of it to fill. You know those coils that Phil posted on Facebook for you on the back of the 18-wheeler? That was what that 500-foot box of Cellucotton was for. But so I mean I apparently messed up and I didn't wash it first or boil it. So what's the deal with the rayon? What's going on with that?
So let me jump in here first, since I've had some experience and did some research on it. First of all, to go on the record, I have tried every possible cotton combination that there's out there, and I get a reaction. So if it has cotton in it, it bothers me. It bothers me in my throat. I've tried the Japanese. I tried the cotton hemp. I tried regular cotton. I tried cotton that was serial numbered. I tried everything. Anything that has cotton, it bothers me. So when I tried rayon, I didn't get that same reaction. So I did a little bit of research, and rayon is not made out of cotton, even though it looks like cotton, but it's not cotton. It's made usually from the pulp of trees, the leftovers, whatever they have left over. They take it together and they do a chemical process through it.
Cellulose.
Out there. Right. So it doesn't bother me when I vape it, but in my opinion, it has a bad taste. It's a hard taste to explain. I'm not getting that clean, pure taste of my e-liquid when I vape with it. And also, since the fact that it is, gone through, to take pulp and make it look bright white like a cotton, it kind of gives, I kind of wonder, Dane, what kind of process it goes through to go from pulp to this bright white, cotton looking thing.
Yeah, I wonder too. I had to laugh honestly at cotton with serial numbers on them. I really did. That's like putting a serial number on every steak I've ever cooked. It's just to me it's.
That's a good idea. Hold on a second. Let me write that down. Every pizza I'm going to put out, I'm going to put a serial number on the box.
Put it on your lamb chops. That way they know they're genuine.
I'll get you the laser
clone.
cutter in the restaurant. You can actually laser engrave into the food, into the saganaki, the serial number of that saganaki.
You also have to make sure you put an end to the run, Dimitri. You need to do like 475 of 5,000. So
you got to
get 5,000.
This is how you differentiate the pieces of meat, right? With lamb, the higher the serial number, the closer to the head. The lower the serial number, the closer to the ass.
That's great. Hey, I got to give it to Emio, though, boy. He started a trend. If it wasn't for Emio, we wouldn't know what serial numbers are. But anyway, back to the rayon, Dane.
I'm not comfortable using it. I like good, solid organic cotton. That's clean. I have yet to use rayon, so I'm not entirely sure. I've seen it now, and I've got a chance to handle it, and it looks like it's pretty easy to use. Yeah. But I don't think it's something that I'd feel 100% comfortable with, because being someone who's a little bit older, when I hear the word rayon, I think of bad 1970s clothes catching on fire. And that's really
polyester. That's polyester. That was your gold lame.
It was white. Thank you very much.
That's great.
I was talking to Jamie a little bit earlier in chat, and he mentioned that when he tried it, he was getting a sour taste off of it.
Yes, and this sour taste would last for hours in my mouth, and it would just ruin my day. It would taste like the bittering agent they use in canned air.
Yeah,
and it would just stick around. And I think that's because I didn't wash it, but maybe certain people can taste it and others can't.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
There's 800 pages plus of comments over on ECF in one of the threads there on basically the Cellucotton. And one of the guys actually did the due diligence and looked up the MSDS from the company that makes this, Graham. This is Graham for Professional Products.
Well, thank God they have an MSDS.
Yeah, they do have an MSDS, and the separating process, the process by which they make this fiber, and Graham says that the majority of their Cellucotton, at least the ones in the boxes that we've seen, is created by taking bamboo and putting it through a process that creates the fibers. And there is a chemical that's used in the process, but then it goes through like 3 or 4 different wash cycles. I do boil it. The sour taste that you got, most people in that thread have attributed to using too much. Now, I know Dino builds his coils or uses a different amount of Cellucotton in his builds than I do. I've been using very, very little, and I'm talking about microscopic amounts compared to what I'd use with a cotton build.
It certainly absorbs a lot. But yeah, Dino said he's getting a hospital taste out of it. It's hard. It's like when you walk into the hospital.
That's exactly what I get.
I think
that
he's
would be a
using
way I
too
would
much.
explain it.
I think he's using too much. I'm using very little, and I'm using it right now. And I'm not advocating that you use it, because that's entirely up to you. Sure. I'm not saying use it, but in my experience, it's working well. But if you're getting the sour taste, you're using too much. So
I mean, I don't have a reaction to cotton, so I'm going to continue using cotton just because it works and I get good flavor and I'm happy and it's easier than silica.
That's a good idea.
If you react to cotton, I think your best bet right now is silica or Silica. I don't really.
Echo Wool. That's what I use. I use
Wool,
Echo
yeah.
Wool and Silica. Those are the two things that I use since I do have the. Here's a tweet. The next wick will be silk. That would be an expensive wick to use if we're gonna be silking it. Here's a question that came in to change the topic a little bit. What do you guys think about head shops that are changing their businesses over to vaping? Talking about shops that sell marijuana paraphernalia along with the vape equipment. And I'm just going to put it out there, and I've said it many of times, vaporizing weed was around way longer before we started vaporizing nicotine as a substitute tobacco. I'm going to start with you, Dan. You're nodding your head.
Yeah, here in Arizona, there's quite a few shops that do that. Medical marijuana is used here, and there are quite a few shops that carry vapor pens along with regular vaping supplies. It's a lot, and I'm really starting to see some real exponential growth here as well. There used to be just a couple of different types. Now you're seeing entire lines at stores. You really are. And just as an example, the Vape Summit, one of the biggest signs up there was by Atmos, which is a company that makes marijuana, or herbal vaporizer pens, as they're called. They're used a lot of different ways, and here they have them for everything. There's wax, there's oils, there's tinctures, there's dry herbs. They're really starting to become very prevalent everywhere, and it's a little disturbing because you see whole cases that are being given these products now, and they're really on display. They're being focused on in ad campaigns, and to me, you know, if you want to use it, great, go ahead and use it. But
yeah,
it's really becoming front and center at the stores, especially here.
All right, James, let's go down the line. James?
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed, especially in Chicagoland area, there's quite a few shops that are carrying both. And I don't know, I guess it's a little bit concerning to me. I think I was on Kevin's show talking about this also. I don't think it's good for us at this juncture that we have basically the stores selling both something intended for, weed and e-juice.
Yeah.
It's not good because, again, it's pretty easy to use THC juice in our existing equipment. So there's really very little to differentiate something that's intended for use with medical marijuana or marijuana versus something that's intended for use with e-liquids.
Stephanie?
So,
I'm sorry, I was muted. Even look at the conventions. You know, the first convention that I went to, I don't remember that anybody was there that was selling weed vaporizers. The second one I went to, there were quite a few, and you just hear about more and more and more. And I think with what we're dealing with, it's not good. It's not good. We're going to be lumped in with the smokers and lumped in with weed, and that's not where we want to be.
Jamie?
I think it's the best thing that could possibly happen to us. So I'm gonna be the devil's advocate.
All right, let's take it. Let's hear it.
I think that the marijuana industry has some of the most rabid and potent lobbying forces in the country right now. Students for Sensible Drug Control Policy, I get emails from all the time. They're very active, and they are very, very good at what they do. I mean, I'm running a store now, and one of the top questions we have is, do you sell anything for vaporizing dry herbs? And it's now legal in Massachusetts for medicinal use, and me and Helene are considering stocking equipment for that because it's what customers want. I'm not going to advertise it. I'll have them in the case, and if someone wants one, I'll happily sell them, but I'm not going to put up signs saying, this works for weed,
Right.
you know? But marijuana is going to be legal. Within the next 10 years, I guarantee that marijuana will be legal at the federal level. And I think that we need to work with the medical marijuana and recreational marijuana industries because they have a great lobbying force, and vaporizing marijuana is the best way to consume marijuana. I mean, I've had medicinal marijuana before, and I vaporized it almost exclusively because burning plant matter is bad.
Yeah.
We can all agree that burning plant matter is bad. The new New York medical marijuana law only allows you to vaporize or eat weed. It's only for edibles and vaporization and tinctures and all that and wax and all that other good stuff.
Yeah.
It is not. You cannot smoke medical marijuana in the state of New York. So I think that we need to work with this industry and use their power in the government to advance our case. It shouldn't be vaporizers for marijuana and vaporizers for e-liquid. It should be vaporizers for everything.
Yeah.
Anything that you smoked in the past is now vaporized. That should be our message. But there are a lot of people that are against that because medical marijuana still has a bad rap, but that's changing very quickly.
Yeah. I'm gonna go halfway here. Okay. I'm gonna go. I see your point, Jimmy, and I agree with it. And since they've been around for a long time, we saw their effect in California last year. I'm gonna say one thing that Greg Connolly said. We did a town hall meeting at the VCC, and he stood up and he said something that was really, really interesting. He said, if tobacco taxes were to go away tomorrow, every state in this great country would bankrupt except one. Guess what state that is?
California?
Colorado,
yeah.
He says if there's anything that our community should be doing right now is trying to make marijuana legal in every state so they can start taxing that and leave us alone so they can start getting their incomes from somewhere that they're losing it from tobacco cigarettes. So listen, usually the people that are going to go into a shop like that, or head shop if you want to call it, that sells, that kind of paraphernalia, and now they're selling e-liquid, usually the customers that are going to go, they're not going to be smokers looking to transition to vaping, let's be honest, right? When you walk into a shop there, you know what you're going to go get. Now, in the instance that a smoker does go inside there and pick up a vaporizer to quit smoking, I find it a plus. It's like having stick batteries at a gas station. Hopefully he'll pick it up. Hopefully it'll make him, quit smoking, and then he's going to explore other options in his city.
The first e-cig that I ever bought, I bought at a head shop. I bought the first vaporized e-cig 801 style pen in 2010. I bought it at a place that sells bongs and pipes and all that because I used to buy my stuff for college antics.
I was about to ask, what were you doing inside there?
And I bought an e-cig and it worked.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree. And Didac also tweeted about California AB 1500, which involved the support. But they have a strong lobby, and we can work with them. But it's very difficult to. Here's another tweet that came in by Lucky Deuces, talking about Vegas clubs. They will not allow vaping in clubs, but do allow smoking because they cannot tell the difference between e-cigs and vaporizers. That brings up a good point. I mean, if somebody walks in with an Ego battery and they're vaping, THC, Dane, and you got me next to them and I'm blowing some clouds or whatever, you can't really tell the difference.
No, you can't. And the Ego batteries that are used in herbal vaporizers are the same as ours. And essentially, the devices are almost identical. They look like Ego style with
the proper processing, you can make a vegetable glycerin tincture that can be used in a CE4 or in an EVOD. In the exact same equipment we use to vaporize nicotine liquid, it can vaporize.
And
THC.
The kits come with them in it. The only difference that at least that's discernible to me from what I've seen is that there is little to no vapor coming out of an herbal pen as opposed to electronic cigarettes.
Yeah, it's like the heat no burn product that Altria has been developing for the last 17 years.
And the things that the models that do dry herb, a lot of them aren't vaporizing the product; they're actually burning it against Canthal. So,
James, I know you wanted to reply on this. I have a question. Where did James get the VaporShark? VaporShark.com. I mean, there was a.
I actually didn't.
You didn't?
That leads me into something else because. I got the VaporShark from Vape All Day, and if you want more information about that, they're a local brick and mortar, and they carry a very, very nice selection of products. www.facebook.com/shopvapeallday. And one of the things I wanted to bring up is I got this, and it was partially charged, and it's basically almost dead now. I've been vaping it like crazy.
Yeah.
This is a company that I buy a lot of products from. They're called Anker. Anker, and this is a 20,000 mAh battery pack.
Ooh, that's the new one.
And it has all these ports. These are IQ ports. So whatever you plug into here, it will detect the maximum current that it can offer that device and charge at that level. And it's really, really great device, great for charging on the go. You can charge your phone. You can actually charge a laptop off here. It has a separate port for a laptop cord adapter.
They make some of the best power packs. The entire mobile rig runs off Anchor
stuff.
products.
Yeah, very good stuff. But while I was at Vape All Day today, one of the people that works there, owner Chris, he showed me a poster, and I'm going to try to do a screen share because I got to share this. Hopefully you guys can see this. Can you see the picture that I've got up there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is just a poster that says vaping. Well, there's a story behind this. He said one of their customers came in, and he showed them this poster, and he said that he was the owner of the copyright on the word vaping. He had actually paid $600 to LegalZoom, and he now holds the copyright on the word vaping.
I don't know about all that.
Yeah,
I don't know about all that, but
yeah. The funny thing here, and I'm trying to get back over to our feed so I can talk about this a little bit more. Let me turn off screen share. There are actually some provisions given for common words that are copywritten. For example, there's a company that makes these containers, and they're called Apple containers. Plus, there's, of course, Apple Corporation, which is copywritten the word Apple, but it's within their scope. So with common words, just to give you an example here, in 2007, the USPTO rejected a trademark application for the word podcast. In their final office action, they stated, the mark immediately describes and names the characteristics and features of the goods. Accordingly, the mark is refused registration on the principal register. So basically, if you have a generic term that describes something, you can't really enforce a copyright on it. So I think this gentleman may have been misinformed. I think LegalZoom tends to make
I think there's
people...
plenty of prior art on that too. Because this term has been used to describe not only nicotine vaporization, but marijuana vaporization for a very long time. And I think that LegalZoom just wanted his $600. Do we know if that trademark was approved by the PTO?
I don't know. I didn't get that information.
I'll do a little Googling right now while you guys talk.
Ridiculous.
Here's another one that came in from Angela. Weed is legal for medicinal use in 23 states. Why not join forces? I agree. I'm with you, Angela. I don't want to be a medicinal category though. That's my big issue. Definitely don't want to go down that route. I do have some breaking news, guys. This just came into my feed right now as we're doing this show. Apparently, speaking of childproof caps, just today, the American Association of Poison Control Centers and the experts at America's 55 poison centers are commending Senator Bill Nelson for his introduction of the Child Nicotine Poison Prevention Act of 2014 on July 10th. So this was announced yesterday, made public just a few minutes ago. Along with fellow Senate co-sponsors, this bill urges the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission to enact rules requiring safer child-resistant packaging for any liquid nicotine sold to consumers. So there you have it. If you don't have them, pretty soon what's going to happen? The government is going to force you to have them on there. And that's what having some standards as an e-liquid manufacturer is all about, right? Stephanie, you have any thoughts on this announcement?
Yeah, Bill Nelson. He's from my neck of the woods. He's a Florida guy.
I mean, the fact that they're introducing now this bill that's basically going to force everybody that makes e-liquid to have these on there, to me, it's a pretty big step. I don't know if it's a positive step. I would like to see all this fall under the FDA deeming guidelines, James.
Yeah, I agree. I would prefer to see it in the FDA ruling, but I don't know. There's definitely a dearth of information on some of these bottles. So.
Well, there you have it. Now they're gonna pretty much force you, which is kind of odd because I saw the EU report, which I wanted to talk about. So might as well bring it up now. The EU report that said that the government wrongly classified e-liquids as toxic, which was a really great study. Dr. Pelosa was involved in it. Basically came out and said that the study that the government did on e-liquid was wrong, and they classified it as a high toxic, which it's not. In fact, even at its highest levels, which is 25 to 50 milligram e-liquid, this is mixed e-liquid, it should fall under the hand soap category of toxicity. So this was launched by ACETA over there in the UK, and it's a great study to try to change the mind here of the WHO that are trying to regulate e-cigs in Europe, and also the limit of content that they put on the nicotine for all these bottles being produced in the EU, simply because they do fall under that toxic category. So maybe we'll see some changes in the EU, and hopefully it'll translate over here. But in that study, it was noted that e-cigs, to date, there has not been one confirmed death attributed to e-liquid among the 29 million Europeans who have used e-cigarettes. To me, that is a astonishing number, Dane.
It is, and what I liked about this study is its effective use of buzzwords when being presented before legislators. And that, to me, is key, because sometimes, you know as well as I do, when you're presenting before even a city council or even something as large as Congress, everything gets gleaned over very quickly. And when it does, when you see e-liquid classified near hand soap, it's great. It's great because then it plants a seed. And then further down, no deaths, 0 deaths. And you can't get any better than that when you're using descriptives with buzzwords in front of politicians. And that was what I really liked about this.
It's really interesting because here we are, the government now, the politicians here are feeling so much pressure by the guys that are giving them money, right? All these supporters and the big tobacco and all these politicians are trying to come up with these laws now to act like they're doing something to save the children. How about doing something to save the people that vote for your dumbass to be in there, James? Not your dumbass, but the politician's dumbass.
Yeah. Darwin Award winners.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I got some more tweets. People saying, yeah, I picked up my first. Jake Jacobson from Texas. We met him there during Vape Blast. Said he picked up his first e-cig in a head shop too. And another best e-cigarette blog, same thing. They picked up their first e-cigarette in a head shop. So it's really interesting. If one smoker can go inside there and quit, to me that's a win. And I feel the same way about the C-stores. Somebody just copyrighted Vape Tea Media. I think that was Mudflap.
There's a difference between a copyright and a trademark, though. You can't copyright a word. Right. You can copyright a work. If you wrote a book about vaping, you could copyright that, but you can't copyright the term vaping. You could try to trademark the term vaping, but...
I read a little bit about it today, Jamie, and it looks like within an industry sector you can copyright a word, but it has to be within a specific sector, and it can't be a commonly used word to describe that industry. So because vaping is a part of the vernacular, you can't copyright that word. There's no way.
You can't trademark that word. There's a difference. A copyright covers a work. Like he could copyright that
trademark.
picture.
You are right.
Copyright that picture with the word vaping in it.
Trademark. Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, I have to agree with Jamie here, and I'm not an attorney.
Yeah.
I am not a lawyer.
Just play one on TV.
Legal cats, get away from me. But there's just so much misinformation and people that don't know how business works in this industry. And if you don't know how to run a business or you don't know anything about trademark or copyright or patents, please do not enter this industry as a business owner.
Here's what really blows my mind, and we got tweeted this earlier by Lucky Deuces as well too. Let me see if I can find that tweet because it was a really interesting tweet talking about businesses. If you know there it wasn't them, it was somebody else. Let me see here where my tweeters are. Man, it's going crazy. If vapor businesses need education about proper business practices. So many are new to businesses and they don't know better. Yes, and we talked about this at VCC in Springfield, that this is a baby industry, and a lot of the people that are getting it, number one, don't have any business, experience. They're just vapors that, found this and they want to help people, and a lot of them started that way. There's others that just see the money. I know there's a lot of companies that have launched with money from people that are not vapors simply because they see the money in it. But at the end of the day, we have the resources for you to contact before you start a business. Whether that's Spyder, whether that's AIMSA, whether it's CASA, whether it's AVA, whether it's Vista, all of these organizations that are out there that you can get tons and tons of information, like number one, who our opponents are, right? And who we should support. And try to create some standards. And please consult an attorney. I mean, if the company that I work for, we pay a lot of money to attorneys to be able to keep up with what's going on there and make sure that you're protected, because at the end of the day, let's say you launch a business and it becomes really, really successful, and you go from making $40,000 a year at your old job that you left because you believed into this product, and you're making $200,000 a year. Why would you risk that? Do you want to go back to your $40,000 job that you did before?
And insurance, too.
Invest in your business.
Yeah. I mean, I pay for product liability and general liability insurance, and it costs almost as much as the rent for my store. And I know a lot of these companies are not doing that. If you buy an Ego battery from China and that sucker explodes in someone's car on a summer day and you do not have product liability insurance, and that person decides to get a lawyer and come after you, you're screwed.
Yeah, you're pretty much dead.
Your business is gone. They will take you for everything you have. They will take your house. They will take your car. And you need to get insurance. You need to cover your butt. Not enough people in this industry are doing that.
Go ahead,
Well, that's like here where I live. The gas stations are now carrying e-cigs, but the main place that you can go, it's a mom and pop store, and it was a tobacco rolling store. And he invested, I think he said $230,000 in these tobacco rolling machines, and then the FDA came in and said, no, you can't use them. So he was out all of that money. He started doing e-cigs. So I went in to talk with him. I was trying to actually interview him. And just in the first 5 minutes, I learned he doesn't even know that the FDA's released deeming regulations.
Yeah.
He had no idea whatsoever. So I really wonder, are the stores that the owners are informed doing better than the stores that people have no clue about? I've always wondered that. The people that get really large, the people that are making tons of money, are they more informed?
I don't think so, Stephanie.
That's what I wonder.
And
yeah.
You know what? This is 100% a, ooh, look, it's making tons of money. Let's get in there and let's make as much money as we can. Screw everything else. And there are a lot of people out there doing that, and it's just more expanding every day. They don't care. And
so now he's going to possibly be out all of this other money that he has invested, along with the original machines that he had, and he had no idea. Isn't that a problem?
It's a huge problem, but it's a huge problem. How do you deal with it is the question.
Right. And I tried, even just trying to talk to him, it's just not, it doesn't get through with some people, you know.
No, there's going to be people that are going to be like that do have that business plan as well, too. Dane, you've gone into some shops where, hey, we're going to do this for as long as we can, just wild west, couple years, 3 years, and we're going to bank, and we don't really care.
Yep, I've had owners admit it to me that they wanted to be bought out. They said, great. I always liken it to a restaurant. You don't open a restaurant with one dish. But so many people think, well, you know, my apple pie is better than anybody else. I'll build an empire on it.
Right.
And they don't know what the industry bears. And we're seeing a lot of this here. I always say over and over and over again that this industry needs to grow up. And not grow up in the sense of personal maturity, but business maturity. There is no way that we can compete on the stairs of Congress when we have people who don't even know what's happening there. It blows my mind that you spend a lot of money to open up this business. You invest a lot, and not just money, but time away from your family, and time to keep the store open and keep it running, and employees that have families as well. But yet, you don't care enough to stay abreast about the things that threaten that very store. And to me, that's inexcusable.
It seems like the stores are more busy bad-mouthing each other, trying to carry something somebody's not carrying, talking crap about them. When I went to New York, Cisco took me on a tour of the stores in New York. What I found really interesting is Manhattan is very, very expensive, right, rent-wise. So there's not a lot of stores there. We saw, I think, 4 stores. One of them was in Astoria. The other 3 were in the city, including the Outsmoke, the Henley, and the Beyond Vape. And what I found really interesting is that those stores, they all talk really nice about each other. I didn't walk into a store where they said, "Oh, that store they're selling bathroom juice," or because that's happened to me a lot here, right? When I go into a store, or they're mixing juice over the counter, or they're selling off, fakes for authentics, blah blah blah. I get that a lot, but in New York, I didn't. I saw this, camaraderie, like people were talking nice about each other. And the other thing that may surprise me is no clones. Nobody in New York is selling clones. Well, I'm not going to say nobody. I'm going to say the stores that I visited, Beyond Vape, Henley, and these places, they weren't selling any clones. And I said, aren't you missing out on that piece of the pie? And they said, yeah, we're missing out, but we try, I mean, they were kind of bad-mouthing clones, but they did it in a professional manner, James. And I know certainly you would appreciate something like that.
Yeah, and that's like the store I was talking about, the store that carries the Vapor Shark line. They don't carry any clones, and yet they have something for everybody. So if you walk in there, Dimitri, they have Chinese mods and atomizers, but they're not clones, and they still have a nice selection of authentic, a lot of USA-made products, which I like to see. And they sell out of these things. It's not like they're sitting on stock, because I've heard that argument from people before. Well, the clones won't sell, or the authentics won't sell. They'll just sit on the shelves. And the area that the store is in is not particularly affluent, but they still manage to sell out of all of the authentics that they have. And they're one of those stores, they've been bad-mouthed. They have been bad-mouthed by other stores, partially because I think they just run a better business. One of the stores that bad-mouthed them is right down the street. And I walked in there once and once only because I bought a 10 ml bottle of juice and I got probably 5.5, 6 mils of juice.
Yeah.
And he walked to the back of the store and filled it. And Dane can attest to this. I mean, he did his video on basically the fill levels of some of these premium lines. But this was a house juice line. And they walked out and handed it to me. And I didn't say anything, but at that point, I thought, you know what? I'm writing this place off. And they're one of the places that is the most vocal about spreading lies about one of their competitors. So it's kind of a ugly business when you get down to it. Some of the brick and mortars are just...
Well, there's more and more competition now, but what I tell them over here, I was like, everybody just calm down. You're not going to run out of customers. There's millions of smokers out there.
Can I comment as a retailer?
Sure.
So me and Helene, our opinion is that we've got too much to be doing to worry about the competition. And I mean, last week I walked into one of my competitors and said, "Hey," and we talked for a little while about the industry.
Yourself. Yeah.
And I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about my competitors. If people are going there and they're not smoking, I'm happy about that. Sure,
Right.
I don't agree with everything all my competitors are doing, but I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to tell one of my customers in my store, "Oh, don't go over there. They're bad people." Why would I do something like that? I mean, I'm not in the business to badmouth my competitors. I'm in the business to give good customer service and do a good job for the customer that's standing in front of me in my store. And of course, I don't want to be mixing juice in house. I don't want to be doing any of that just because I don't want the liability.
Yeah.
If I'm going to sell clones, I'm going to sell clones, but they're not going to have any trademark logos on them.
Right.
I'm going to go to my manufacturer and say, I want a Nemesis clone, no Nemesis logos, make sure it's good quality. Send me one first so I can make sure you're doing it right, and then I'll order 50.
And nobody would mistake those clones for an authentic.
Right, I'm not going to say it's authentic. I'm going to say it's a Nemesis replica, or I'm going to say it's a mod. I'm not going to. I don't have any interest in perpetuating this trademark infringement that is so rampant in this industry.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about my competitors, especially to my customers, and I have better things to worry about, like advocacy and keeping track of what my local government's doing and ordering stock and getting stuff for my customers. But then there are I got screwed about a month and a half ago. I got an order of 60 fake Pro Tank Minis, and the vendor wouldn't take them back.
Wow.
And now I'm sitting on 60 fake Pro Tank Minis. I've gutted them out. I've sold the glass to people, but I'm not going to sell a fake tank.
Yeah.
No way. I'm gonna do what I can with them to get some of my money back. I'm gonna sell parts, but I'm not gonna put a counterfeit Kanger Pro Tank on the shelf and say it's real.
Sure. And there's a lot of businesses that take that stance. In fact, somebody just Nev tweeted me that there's a New York store that sells $100 Vamos. That's the only Manhattan store you didn't visit. I guess I didn't visit it, but I can imagine. Speaking to Cisco about some of the rent that they're paying down there, I think that the Henley pays close to $20,000 a month rent.
I went to Beyond Vape in St. Mark's Place, and that's a very nice store.
Very
got
nice
good
store.
people. My friend wanted to start vaping, and I asked Russ, "What's the best store in the city?" And he said, "Go to Beyond Vape." So we did, and I mean, he certainly paid. My friend certainly paid a lot more for, an Ego C Twist starter kit than we would have paid online. But I mean, you got to pay your rent. You gotta.
Especially in the village. Are you getting the Lower East Side of Manhattan? Are you kidding me? I mean, I know there's a high traffic there, but it's very, very, very expensive to operate a store. But the benefit about that is, number one, even if you pay more, okay, it's still less money than smoking. No matter which way you dissect it, you toss it, you change it around, it's still going to save you money in the long run, number one. Number two, you have the benefit of an employee sitting down there with you for 45 minutes and explaining to you the whole process of how to clean it, how to charge it, how to refill it, when something happens wrong. If something does go wrong, you don't have to contact somebody through a contact us online website to replace it. You can just walk into the store, hey, listen. And that happens a lot with the Egos when they screw their tank down and it presses that pin.
I've had to remove tanks from Ego batteries with vice grips in my store.
Right.
I mean, if someone comes in and as long as it isn't gross negligence, like I can see they dropped it in a storm drain, I'll swap it out on the spot. It's not really skin off my back. I want that customer to come back. Right.
And at the end of the day, as Jake says, teamwork is better than competing, safety in numbers. And that's what I'm trying to do here in Tennessee, right? And I saw some tweets about SFATA, what SFATA is doing too. The Tennessee Smoke-Free Association has paid dues into SFATA to tie all the vendors that are under this umbrella into a federal umbrella, okay? And I've seen a lot of hesitation by some of the vendors here, simply because they're not educated. And I try to tell them, hey, listen, there's a lot of benefits of being under an association. Number one, we have strength in numbers, right? You're going to get a nice decal. It's going to be on your store. You're part of this Tennessee Smoke-Free Association. And then when we get called to, and according to my contacts at Enjoy, there is something coming up in Tennessee next year here in the legal system, in the legislation. When the time comes, we can stand up and say, hey, listen, I'm Dimitri. I represent the Tennessee Smoke-Free Association, and I represent 50 vendors that employ, an average of 7 to 8 people each one. So we have a significant force here in the state of Tennessee. That, my friend, along with votes and money, is what really influences policymakers. If you can't get that into your head as a businessman, there's nothing that I can do to explain it to you, right? It all falls down, numbers, votes, and money. We're lacking on all three of those horribly right now because everybody's just bothered what they're going to bring in and compete with the other person.
And the same thing is in the case of e-liquid as well. I mean, I've said before, I only sell AIMSA stuff. I only sell juice from companies that are working with AIMSA and have their certifications, and that works really well for me because I can say, I'm working. Every vendor that I sell is part of AIMSA. This is their standards. This is how they do it, and that's strength in numbers as well. You've got 30 juice vendors now. That's the current membership of AIMSA, around 30, right, D?
Yeah,
about 30 can say that Lou Ritter and his team can go to Washington and say, we represent these 30 manufacturers. Right. It's strength in numbers. We are using these best practices to make this liquid.
Can you bring up a page, Jamie, or should I do it?
Sure.
I want to. If you thought cloning was bad, I'm going to toss it into the Skype here if you can bring it up. If you thought cloning was bad with devices and mechanicals, Jamie, if you can bring that web page up. This is a Chinese decan e-liquid company, right?
I'm working on it right now.
You're doing e-liquids?
This is extremely funny. I saw this the other day, and I wanted everybody to kind of see it, to see what your reaction is going to be. And I haven't shown this to anybody on the team, by the way. This is the website. Jamie's going to bring it up. This is a Chinese manufacturer of e-liquid. If you scroll down the bottom, look what kind of logo they have on there.
Oh,
boom.
My God.
They have the AIMSA logo on the website. Wow. I mean, that's absolutely fantastic.
Maybe they actually follow the standards, but I'm sure that their lab hasn't been tested.
Right. And I'm sure they're not part of AIMSA, right? I mean, you have to be part of AIMSA to carry that logo on I want to see here where it says learn more. Click on that one that says learn more about Opalus manufacturing standards. It's right next to the
nothing.
That's what you get. That's fantastic. I just thought that was funny. Chinese manufacturing is cloning the AIMSA logo for their e-liquid now, so that's pretty funny. It goes along with the FDA thing. I don't know if you've seen in some of these Chinese bottles where they actually put an FDA logo on there. Dane, you're shaking your head. You've seen this, right? An FDA logo on their bottles.
Yeah.
Yep, I've seen it. I've seen it on quite a few, and there's even been some here in the U.S. that have done the same. Right down on the bottom corner of the label, it says using FDA-approved ingredients.
Right, and that's very, very misleading. That's very.
Yeah,
I mean,
it sure is, because you think FDA approval immediately. You think, well, it must be safe.
right. Oh, that's gonna be good. It's been approved by or they'll say an FDA approved lab, right? So I know, and I've said this publicly. I'm gonna say it again. If you make an e-liquid, you're not gonna be required to have a pharmaceutical grade lab. I'm just going to go ahead and just tell you right now. If you've invested money into an ISO 9, all you have is a very, very clean room. But using that technique to market your product, not the brightest of ideas, because all those bottles will be collected. And how do I know it will be collected and pre-presented? I don't know if you watched C-SPAN a couple of weeks ago. They actually used footage from our broadcast from Tampa. Right, so they are monitoring what's going
Kevin
on.
Skipper
on
gave them permission to use
yes,
that. By the way.
Yes. And he had contacted me about it, and I had forgot about it. But I told him, yeah, it's public uses. They can use anything that they want to. That's one of the reasons why I've always wanted the Vape Team episodes to be, proper and professional and clean, and make sure that we say the accurate information for this kind of chance that somebody's going to take something that I said publicly and put it out there and doesn't really represent the community. But just as you see, they're taking now these bottles of e-liquid that have the crappy labels on them. They're marketing to kids these, systems that they're calling the open vapor system. They're out there now scouring. They announced that they're spending $270 million on various tobacco. It's not just on e-cigs, but various studies around tobacco control. Part of it does have to do with e-cigs. And the part about e-cigs says that we're going to scour the forums, we're going to scour YouTube, we're going to scour Facebook, and try to see what these users are doing to, I think it said, manipulate the devices to enhance the vapor production or something like that. So, they're out there collecting this stuff, right? So if you're going to put FDA label on your bottle, I'm sure it will be brought up at a future C-SPAN Senate hearing. I mean, if you think that's good publicity for you, it certainly isn't. And also, while I'm on that subject, part of the TSFA, what I'm trying to do with the TSFA is give media representation. I got called by Knoxville Channel 8 to go give an interview next week. It is very, very important that if you're going to go on TV, don't do it. If you're a business owner, just don't do it. That's my best advice for you. If they ask you for an interview, don't do it, because there's no way that you're going to come out looking good, number one. It's not going to give you any more business into your store. Don't buy into that. And also, make sure that you have somebody that's going to represent you, and that's what we're trying to do with it. We have a couple of representatives through the state that they can go out there and they can say something about you, say something proper about E6 to make sure that we get if all they're going to use is one sentence, make sure that that sentence sticks. Like they did in VCC. They interviewed me for 15, 20 minutes on each station.
And they interviewed Greg for 15 to 20 minutes, and guess who they chose?
Well, I think that's because I talk with my hands.
I was the only one that actually watched that live on TV. Everyone else was busy partying, and me and Helene were in the room trying to sleep, and then the friggin' fire alarms in the hotel go off.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I thought that I try to be a little bit more... when I talk with my hands, I try to be a little bit more passionate when I talk about e-cigs, and I think people like that relation. That I'm very quick to answer. I don't dodge any questions. I get right to the point, and you have to, because if they're only going to use one sentence, you've got to make sure damn right that it's the right thing that you said, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to try to manipulate the story, try to manipulate, whatever they're trying to present and make e-cigs look bad, and all across mainstream media. And that's something that Greg touched as well on the VCC. Dan, you got some thoughts here?
You're absolutely right. How many bad interviews have we seen, and even good ones, that get slanted bad when mainstream media takes over and takes certain sound bites, edit them together? We know we do it all the time. We edit all kinds of footage. We just don't edit people's opinions for the pro side of e-cigs. But it happens, and it happens a lot, and they will cut out a lot of what you say.
Here's a radio ad by a vaping company that says vapor smoking is not bad. I mean, if you're going to use smoking while you're trying to promote your product, you're already screwed up, my friend. There's no way that you're going to make it into this business.
People come into my store and they ask, "Is it safer?" I say, "Is it safe?" That's a hard question to answer as a retailer. And I can tell you my story. I can tell you my father-in-law's story, but I can't make any health claims about these products.
Right.
And we are very careful in our marketing and our advertisement to say it's the superior alternative to smoking.
And that's what it is.
It's a healthier alternative to smoking. We don't say it's healthier. I mean, it's reduced risk.
Yeah.
That's what I say. It's a reduced risk product. You're not burning plant matter. And
I think that's an accurate description. That's what everybody should do. That's what everybody should do, so it doesn't appear that we're promoting to get new customers, because that's what they're always. That's what it always comes down to. They're saying, "Oh, we're trying to create a new batch of smokers. We're trying to attract kids. We're trying to attract non-smokers. We're trying to turn this into a hobby." And there is a couple out there that have started just for cloud chasing, but we're not going to get into in this show.
Well, I've got a safety story that I can share sitting in a retail shop for most of my weekends lately.
Sure.
I had a guy come into my store and he was holding a K100 with an iGo on it, and I'm like, "Oh, how long have you been vaping?" My friend gave me this yesterday.
Wow.
I need liquid. I'm like, uh-oh. So I'm like, hey, let me see that. So I take the K100, I pull the cap off the atomizer, quad coil build in it. It's like, okay, so I put it on my DNA. 0.6 ohms. Okay. Open the battery tube. James, what kind of battery was in that tube?
I don't know.
Trust Fire.
Wow. Was it 0.06 ohms or 0.6?
0.6. But the Trust Fire had a 5 amp limit.
Wow. Yeah.
So I told him, please do not use this.
Yeah.
It was a standard like flashlight lithium ion battery, and I'm like, I sold him a Pro Tank. I sold him a Pro Tank 2 with a 2 ohm coil, and I'm like, you can safely use this. Please tell your friend who gave this to you that he gave you a bomb, basically a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
So I am obsessed with battery safety lately.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find good places to get wholesale batteries and good places to get good chargers, and I'm trying to find stuff that I would use at a decent price, and it's hard. You can go out and you can bring in the cheapest crap you can get, and you'll have people coming back with really bad results. And
there's also relabeling going on in China right now, because simply because of the demand. They'll take some of the seconds and the thirds and they'll relabel them and put them out there. James, I know you're big on battery safety, but just some brief recommendations while we're at it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very, very happy with the VTC4s and VTC5s, and that's what I've been using primarily with that 30 amp continuous, 60 amp momentary. So I'm very happy with those as far as high drain batteries. In fact, the Vapor Shark 18650 ships with a VTC4 in it.
That's pretty good, by the way. I just want to put it out there because the Hannas did not come with a battery.
Yeah.
So I paid $180 for my Vapor Shark. I bought it online. There was 50 online. I bought it, and it comes with a battery for $180. Somebody was asking earlier in Twitter.
Yeah. Speaking of which, there's a new market segment now. There's these Primo batteries that are supposedly better.
Competition batteries.
4 or 5s. Right, the competition batteries. I guess you use that with your competition mod. And they've got a nice, fancy, shiny label on them. They're specifically for vaping, but again, it's just a case of
they saw a
rebranding.
market segment, and now they're marketing to it. And if they're good quality batteries, I mean, look at what happens with chromed out exhaust pipes for Civics.
All right, speaking of exhaust pipes, I've got to show something here. And I posted a picture of it earlier.
Yeah, somebody was asking where to get that, too, on Twitter.
I had another battery question when you're done showing this off.
Oh, go ahead and ask it now, because then I'll move on.
I really am looking for VTC4s, but I've been using the eFest 35 amps, and I looked at all the test results from all the flashlight people, because the flashlight people are the best place to get info on load testing. Yeah, Candle Power Forums. And they look really good, and I can get them at a good price officially from the manufacturer. What's your opinion on them?
The VTC5 seems to have an edge in capacity, and it still maintains the same C rating. So the eFests are good, but I don't know, I haven't been quite as impressed with them. And I've got a couple distributors I can hook you up with for the VTC5. So. And
also, I tried the Orbtronic flat tops that came in the other day, and I'm pretty impressed with that. I've always liked the Orbtronic battery, but now it's a 30 amp, with a flat top. battery, which fits really nice in my mods, which kind of pissed me off with the Arptronic before because it's taller.
Yeah.
Also talking about evolution of e-cigarettes, I got this in the other day from Vape Only. This is the V-Pulse kit, and it just looks like your basic starter Ego kit. It's 900 mAh. But what I found really interesting, well, there's a couple of things that I found really interesting. It has a bottom coil tank, much alike, your Aspires and your
looks like a Pro tank
out there. Yeah, it looks like a Pro tank. Glass tank with a dual bottom coil. This ridiculous drip tip which you can remove. It does have a ring on the 510 connection, the Ego, where you can actually flush mount that tank on there, or remove the little ring and use the Ego that's out there. Some really nice stuff. But it's variable voltage and it's variable wattage. You have both choices on there. And it does 3 to 5 volts and 5 to 12 watts. For a small battery this size, for a starter kit, the evolution is just coming and coming and coming. There's so much stuff coming out there now that can help smokers quit. All you have to do is just go through all the BS, find the right kits, and that's what you should carry in your stores to make sure that you're going to give the best chance for somebody that walks into your store to be able to quit. Right?
I mean, even an Ego with a CE4 is, surprisingly, we all might poo-poo that, but it's a really good option. They work really well. We have customer. The most popular item we sell other than liquid is the CE4 Claramizer. People like them. They're simple. They work.
Yeah. And
if you don't have aspirations to blow huge clouds or buy a mod like this, that on an Ego is fine for 85-90% of the population.
Yeah.
So speaking of, James, why don't you go over your stovepipe or your exhaust pipe?
And before we go over the exhaust pipe, Stephanie, you used the Ego Twist for a long time before you moved up, right?
Absolutely. That's what got me. Yep, that's what got me off tobacco cigarettes, and I still recommend those to people that are just looking to try it out.
I saw actually at the convention we had very few new people at the convention, which was kind of disappointing because that's my market. But we had a woman who came around and said she bought like $500 worth of stuff at the Big E, and it lasted her a few months, and now she needed more. And she looked at my prices, and she's like, "This is like 99% less than what I paid for all the other stuff." So she immediately stocked up at my table on CE4s, Egos, and juice.
Yep.
So
I love how somebody's using our episode to promote their store in New York. Over 50 flavors, Suicide Bunny, Space Jam, Halo, whatever.
That's kind of funny about the Suicide Bunny too.
Yeah, I know, right? No comment. No comment there. But make sure you know what you're vaping. But listen, you should have let me know when I was in New York. If you don't follow me, it's not my fault. Follow me. Twitter at Vaping Greek. You should have known I was in New York. I would have came by and checked out your store.
So I think we should cover James's Civic exhaust pipe on an atomizer, and then we should cover the Aerotank versus Nautilus war that's about to happen, and then
Absolutely.
We should all go to bed.
You got it. All right, James, show off that drip tip and tell people where they can get it.
So first, let me rewind here. This is the TOE V1, okay? And I did a review on this one, and the air holes are, they're decent size, and you have your normal drip tip connection up top. This is the TOE 2.5, okay? And the air holes are much larger, so you have a lot more airflow. Well, you hit a point of diminishing returns with some of these, not competition addies. I don't want to start that. But some of these RBAs. Doug bought it.
I can't wait to see you at the first Vape Olympics.
I know. So basically, your diminishing returns come from the fact you're limited to a standard drip tip. So at these cloud competitions, a lot of guys will pull the cap. Well, enter this unique little thing that I found here. And a company called Atomized Inc. That's www.atomizedinc.com sells these. And this is actually the smokestack drip tip replacement top for the Tobe, which has a gigantic inlet. And, my screen probably isn't going to stay on, but I'll give you a little demonstration here. And this is a 0.35 using a Sony VTC5. So I am within the constraints, and I've been using these devices
What's
for a
the amp
while.
load on that before you hit this?
It's 30 amps continuous and 60
No,
amps.
I'm saying what's that coil going to pull when you hit that button?
You know what? I'd have to do the calculations. It's
I'll
well
do the math
within
while you make them.
constraints. Okay. So
That thing is like the size of the channel.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, it's definitely
It's chucking the vapor. But anyway, let's get to this
Was
flaming.
that 0.35 or 0.035?
No, 0.35.
Okay.
I don't go into the sub 0.1 ohm realm.
Let's get to this Aspire Kangaroo thing. Now, I did get the new Mini in. I'd already done my review on it. I put it out there. Phil talked a little bit about it. And I talk to Phil almost every day about some of these new devices that are coming out. He's pretty much on my page. Nick did his video on the new Aspire vertical coil, and it's basically a Carter tank. Okay, it's a vertical coil that's surrounded by filler material with a screen on the top and the bottom, pretty much like the Carter tanks used to work back in the day. Back in the day, that's like a couple years ago. But I'll go first. Oh, but before I get to that, I just want to say one thing briefly, because we talked about clones and non-clones. One of the big misconceptions is that all authentics are very, very expensive, and that's not true, James, okay? I saw it with a 454 big block Addy. This atomizer, we paid $75 for it in Miami. It's a fantastic USA-made, machined atomizer for $75. So you don't have to spend $200 out there. Some of the overhyped stuff out there, yes, you have to pay that if you want it.
I mean,
but if you want to get authentic stuff, you can get it here and get it cheap.
$75 is still a stretch for an atomizer for a lot of people.
For a rebuildable atomizer, that's not really that bad.
And it comes with a drip tip, too.
Yeah.
But one of the nice things I like about the 454 is I've got a DNA box here that does not have a recessed connector. And look at that, no gap.
Yeah.
Because you can actually drop this sleeve down a little bit further and cover the gap with the sleeve. So
there's a lot of engineering behind it. I just wanted to put it out there. All right, let's get into the Aspire now. Just a little backstory on this. We had the Kangaroo Pro Tank that came out, and everybody loved it. Everybody loved it because compared to what we had up to then, it was good.
I have such fond memories of the original Kangaroo Pro Tank.
The original Kangaroo Pro, which was just last year, by the way.
I still use mine all the time.
I just want to put it out there. This was last year, okay? It wasn't like 20 years ago. It sounds like it's 20 years ago, but it's not. And the issue that we had, and something that me and Phil have tried to tell China for the last year, is airflow. There's not enough airflow, and the way that the airflow is coming into the tank, it's not, it's not operating the way that it could, as efficient and delivering, vapor the right way. So Aspire came out with a Nautilus tank. And the Nautilus tank had the adjustment of 4 air holes on the bottom base. The air came in from the side, created a vortex around the coil, and, it vaporized more efficient. So at the time when it came out, I chose the Aspire over the then Pro Tank. But
are we talking Pro Tank 3, the dual coil Pro Tank? Yeah, so we're talking the dual coil tanks.
The dual coil tank, right. Then Kangaroo says, well, if you can do it, we can do it better. And they came back with the Aero tank, which didn't have the option of 4 airflow holes. It had an adjustable airflow system, so you could really fine-tune it to find the airflow that you want. Again, bringing in the e-liquid from the side. You could use the existing dual coil heads that were on the Pro Tank 3 before.
They came out with an accessory that you could put on the original Pro Tank 1, 2, and 3 that would give you that same airflow control.
Right, correct. So when that came out, especially with a new slotted and closed coil, I chose, personally, the Pro Tank Aero tank, the Kangaroo Aero tank over the Aspire simply because of the flavor. I just believe that the Kangaroo coil head delivers better flavor. And even with the Aero Tank Mini now that's out with a vertical coil, I still believe, even though it works and it works great, right? Don't get me wrong. If that's what you're using and that's what you like, don't go out there and buy an Aero Tank because I said so. But I still believe that the Kangaroo coil has slightly better flavor than the Aspire Nautilus.
I want to jump in before everyone else, and I know James has absolutely nothing to say on this topic. So I've been testing stuff to figure out what I'm going to bring into my store next, and I still haven't brought in one of these tanks. You think I'm a crazy person right now, but I have the Aspire. I got one as a sample from my vendor, and it is. I have major issues. I don't know how you use one of these as your primary tank, Stephanie, because I can't run it above 10 watts or I get massive burning, and unless I bring it down to like 8 watts, and then it's okay, but I don't get as much flavor, I don't get as much vapor. The AeroTank Mega, I can run all day at 15 watts with the new improved coil head, and it hits like a rebuildable, in my humble opinion. Not a sub-ohm rebuildable, but a 1. The AeroTank Mega, in my opinion, at 2 ohms or 1.5 ohms is similar to a K-Fun build. I'll get similar flavor, similar vapor. I can lung inhale this thing at the full airflow control, and it is great. So,
Stephanie.
Yeah.
Well, that's the difference. That's the whole difference, is that I vape still at 8 watts.
Yeah.
No matter what I use, whether it's my, let's say it's my K-Fun, you know, if I put it to 10 watts, I don't like the taste. So we're just different vapors.
Yeah. My wife uses the Spyder BDCs to this date, and she likes them at 7.5 watts. That's
Right.
where she vapes it. I do believe that the Aspire over 10 watts gives you, and I don't know if you have the vertical coil or the old coil system.
I specifically got the new coils because they are amazing.
Yeah, the vertical coils you were talking about.
The verticals with the slot in the enclosed design. Yeah.
Oh no, that's the Kangol you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, I have
Okay.
the old Aspire with the
Right. The new Aspire coil is it's kind of unique. The fact that they put a vertical coil inside there is kind of, you know, I thought it was a good idea. Then I saw Joy takes K-Fun and it has a vertical coil inside, so I'm kind of seeing what they're doing. But flavor-wise, to me, I think that the Kangol AeroTank has the edge. The fact that they're coming out now with lower ohm heads, you can get down to 0.8 sub-ohm heads, which is great for people that, you know, this happens a lot, and I talked about this Wednesday night when I did my little rant at the end. You got somebody that's new, that's using an Ego Twist or an MVP, and they say, I want to upgrade, and the first answer that they get is, get a mechanical. Where the hell is the upgrade? You're going from a regulated device, from an Anakin MVP to a mechanical. That's really a downgrade. It's not an upgrade. And then they take their 2 ohm Pro Tank and they put it on their mechanical mod, and they can't get a good vape. So now with these 0.8 and 1 ohm sub-ohm coil heads, you'll be able to take them and put them in a nice-looking tank. Yeah. The Aero tank with the metal sleeve around looks pretty good to put on a mechanical mod with a 0.8 ohm head and have a good vape.
It is the closest, actually, because of this tank, because I bought one for the first time at Vaping Convention Circuit New England, I had the idea, everyone at the convention circuit was having cloud competitions. Everyone, come build your coil, vape the biggest cloud, get prize. My idea, which I'm going to do, I think we should do in Chattanooga, Dimitri, is we are going to have a Vape Team Media stock coil cloud competition. You can vape whatever you want as long as we see the head come out of the sealed blister pack and go into the tank before the competition begins. So you could get a 0.8 ohm Aero tank. You could do whatever you want as long as it's stock. And because that kind of fills the gap, and it makes it how you vape it over how you build it.
And I also think that gets a lot of the other people that don't build involved into a competition as well, too. Because when you go to these other competitions, who's going to build the lower ohm? How about the rest of the people, the majority of the people that don't build and use tanks and give them a chance to win something and have some fun? Certainly.
So the reason I'm stocking the AeroTank over the Aspire is because I can give it to someone who likes to vape at 8 watts, and they'll be very happy. But if someone wants to kick it up to 15, they're going to still get a great experience. Going much higher than that, it's sketchy, like every tank is. But I have to give it to Kangol because this new coil design is the best stock coil design that has ever come out of China.
I have to agree.
Humble opinion.
Here's a Twitter. China will never understand airflow.
They're getting it.
I beg to differ. I think they understand but man, listen, let me tell you, China is brilliant. They have figured out that they can tweak a product slightly and everybody will buy it. So if they perfect it, well, shit, we're done. No, what else are you gonna buy now? If you have the perfect tank out there, there's not gonna move the economy. So what they're doing is they're improving it a little bit at a time. They do know how to make a perfect tank. They have assembly lines that they can transform. Assembly line in 24 hours from making pro tanks to making bullets. Okay, I'm sure they have the technology to come up with a good tank. They just won't do it. They're improving it slowly because there's such a demand, and every new item that comes in here, Dane, even when you were a new vapor, every time that you heard about a new product coming out, what did you want to do?
Yep, I always went out and bought it. Although I will say one negative about the AeroTank Mega is that there's a lot of wasted space and it doesn't hold as much heat liquid as you think.
I agree. That is one of my biggest qualms about the product.
I made a comment about that on my video, and somebody posted a couple of the comments on the bottom. Maybe it needs some air to inside the tank to create that pressure to feed the coils.
I'm thinking
still,
I might take one of these and I might try drilling a hole at the top and putting a fill screw in it, and we'll see how it works. But Nev NYC on Twitter just commented that I must have a bad coil in my Nautilus, and I've tried 6 of them from 3 different vendors, so I don't think it's the coil. Maybe it's just the way I vape.
And Jamie, I saw his tweet, and I did a video on the Nautilus recently. I'm always kind of a step behind.
No, that's good. Being behind is better in this industry.
Yeah, and I just wait to see how the tanks perform and everything. And when I did my Nautilus video, I found it very interesting what happened in the comments. Half of the people are like me. They had great experiences. They love it. The other half of the people absolutely hate it for whatever reason. The coils burn out too fast. They hate the taste. I think that's just consistent with every tank. That's the same story. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Well,
certainly that comes out.
One of my comments on my Aspire mini video was this guy posted, "Don't buy anything from Aspire. It's all crap." Which is, I mean, dude, just making that comment makes you look silly because obviously I can tell you because I talked to Kiki at Aspire that they sell 1 million tanks in the United States last year. So obviously somebody's buying them, right? So if that's what you're using and that's what works for you, certainly continue to use it if it makes you happy.
People come into my store and they're confused because I sell all Kanger tanks, but I really like Innokin batteries. So I know Innokin has power control down. For the stuff coming out of China, the MVP and that kind of stuff is some of the best wattage, voltage control, most consistent, most reliable stuff you can get.
Yeah.
But I don't like the way Innokin does tanks. So I mix and match, and I sell Vision. I sell what I like and what Helene likes and what our customers seem to like. So you come in and you get something that you know will work instead of what's trendy and what's hot.
And look at this. I'm repping a Kanger Pro Tank Mini here.
Oh, well, excuse me, Mr. Subhome.
Wait,
excuse me, Mr. Micro Stick over there.
I almost bought the Micro Stick from Dino. If he had the extension, I would have bought it, but I just don't use 18350 batteries, so I didn't want to do that and then spend another $100 on some flipper to buy an extension for it. So
I really miss this, guys. We should try to do it more often.
Yeah. Well, it's been a crazy busy. I mean, I've been traveling a lot, and
how is it being in the house alone? By the way,
it's uncomfortable. It was good for 2 or 3 days. I'll be honest with you. It's nice, to get 2 or 3 days, but now I really miss my girls.
Yeah.
How's your new air conditioning unit?
It's fantastic. I don't know if I can get a shot of it, but there it is, right there on the wall. And it's nice and cool over here. It hasn't been like this in years since I've had my vape layer.
Yeah, that layer is traditionally very, very hot because you get all the heat from the house rising up.
Right. So I had this installed, and now it's nice and cool up here the whole time, and it's very quiet. So I won't be getting any hissing on my AC. But the thing with and a lot of people have asked me, I miss the vape team and all that. It takes, to do a show like this, it takes a lot of time, number one, and number two, we're all really, really busy in our lives right now. I mean, with Stephanie, stuff's going on with her house. I'm traveling a lot. Jamie, you with the store. James with Real Life and Dane. I'd love to do it more often if we can arrange it. Or if it's going to be 3 out of the 5 members, I'm
okay with this because all I have to do is click a few buttons and a show just kind of happens.
Right.
But the life is busy and it takes a lot of time. And I thank you guys for putting up such great content on the channel. I know I've just been kind of editing behind the scenes, but it was really great to see you and James in Springfield. I wish you two could have been there. You met my dad in person, which probably freaked you the heck out.
No, he's a great guy, man. We got a lot in common.
Him and Zen were really hitting it off. That was kind of funny.
Well, you can see why. they both won't shut up.
But when Helene, it was weird for Helene because you'd never met Helene, James.
Yeah.
And you'd never really seen her, so she walks up and she's like, "Hi, James," and you're like, "Who is this woman?"
It was good. It was good being there. I really enjoyed it.
I really wish you could have come by the shop and come and come to my office and seen all the stuff going on. But 2 hours and you guys are just too busy, too dang busy.
Well, I'll make it out there though. I definitely want to make it out there.
Come on out to Boston, guys. Yep. Weather's nice right now. Don't come in the winter. It won't be any different for you, James, but Dimitri will freeze.
Yeah, well, I want to come see the store. I certainly have it in my plans, and one of these meets, we'll try to come out there in Boston and hang out for some weekend. But it's really, really difficult. A lot of traveling. And speaking of traveling, the next events that are planned for the Vape team that have been invited to go and shoot and broadcast from are Vape Blast in San Antonio, Texas. That has been confirmed. And next event is the ECC in California. So those are the two next events that we have been invited to go to.
When's Chattanooga?
And then Chattanooga, that's October the 4th. That's a little bit while out. So the next VCC, which will be here in Chattanooga, very proud to be bringing a big event like that here. So those are the next 3 events that we have planned. It might not be the entire team. It might be pieces as we're going along, depending on what everybody's doing. I know, Dane, you won't be in Texas. We're going to miss it.
No, I won't. It is actually my birthday weekend, and I will be in Las Vegas.
Well,
when is Texas again?
It's the 12th, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check.
Of August?
Right.
Of August.
I don't think I'm going to be able to make that, sadly. But I'll do what I did last time.
I think me and James and Stephanie are committed there, right?
Right.
Yep, I'll definitely be there.
Yeah. Texas is a lot of fun. I can't wait to see Mudflap. I'm going to kick his ass because I was doing the show Wednesday night, and he was tweeting me naked pictures to excuse me, it's the 15th, 16th, and 17th in San Antonio, Texas. That's the Vape Blast. That's 15, 16, and 17. So looking forward to going to that. And, of course, speaking of the channel, we bring this back up. We had some really good content go up these past couple of weeks. A few more juice 1-minute reviews. We had, of course, the replay from the VCC in Springfield. Really nice Inside the Tank with Radar Chick there, Dane.
Thank you very much. And on that same line, next week I have scheduled another Inside the Tank with the very famous Upstomp of Hingham Hill.
Very nice.
We got to meet him at VCC. That's the first time I met him. I've been talking to him for a very, very long time. On location, Valor Vapor, which has some really good stuff going up, so make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel now. Let's go ahead and give away. What are we giving away, Dane? Give us a little plug here for your buddy Ed.
It is a DNA 30 Spyder mod. The mod is great. Matter of fact, James was just vaping.
Yeah, I've got one right here.
I
For
don't
those who
have
aren't
one.
familiar with it.
Aw.
I was going to say me either.
Maybe you'll win one. You should have replied to the comments.
And there's two
Not
18650s. This takes two 18650s, and it really gives you a lot of capacity with some of the modern cells that are out there. Really nice, clean design, nice charging port.
Oh, by the way, your 0.35 amps at 0.35 ohms at 4.2 volts is 12 amps.
Yeah, so
you
I got
plenty of
plenty of
headroom
room.
on the battery.
Yeah, that's a great mod to take out. If you're going somewhere for an extended period of time, carry one charger with you. The thing is great.
SmokeFreeMods.com, our good buddy Ed the Green. Make sure you bring
Who's in Galeno right now, isn't he? We miss you, Ed.
If we bring Twisted 420 on, we'll have to have like one of those beep buttons. It'll be like, hey, beep, 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 to the entire team.
It'd just be one constant beep
I like
throughout the
Twisted.
entire
I really
episode.
do. I think he's a cool dude. It's just, we try to keep it as clean as possible here. And actually, we invited him in Texas to come, James, and to come and sit at the table. And he said he was going to come,
Awesome.
but
Yeah.
hopefully.
And just to address this, too, because I got a couple of tweets on my personal page about it, I was called out in the Ice Water Challenge. I wussed out because I could not find a shower cap to fit my dome. I didn't want to mess up my hair.
All right, now, in all transparency here, I did the water challenge.
I didn't see it.
I was called out. It's on the Quest Vaping Network page. I was called out by Raider Chick herself, which, again, Raider, thanks a lot. My wife was way too enthusiastic. Filled up a garbage can, a real garbage can.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Hope it was
that
clean.
got dumped over my head. That's what I said, too, Jamie. I had to look inside of it first. But I didn't want a metal bucket because I didn't want to get beat with it.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say is I opted for the donation, and right now VapoVet is doing a drive to try and get some starter kits in the hand of active and former military.
Oh, really?
And it's a really good cause. I'll make sure we put a link in the notes on the broadcast so you can go there and donate. They also currently have another site where they're taking donations for shirts. But we got a chance to talk to them for a while over at VCC New England, and a couple of great guys. Will has really done a lot to help the veterans. So
Fantastic.
Yeah, he's actually having an event very soon where they're raffling off a Harley in California. Lucky Deuces.
Lucky Deuces?
Yeah, they're doing it in conjunction with Lucky Deuces, and they're raffling off a Harley motorcycle.
I talked to him. I don't know if I was talking to him at Vegas. I think it was Vegas, but they're trying to get Spyder involved and start a chapter in California. Something that's much, much needed out there in California because there's tons of vendors out there, and I wish more of them would spend a little bit on advocacy than spending on these elaborate booths that they're putting up. But whatever, I'm the bad guy when I say that. But it's very, very critical because if California goes, everything else will go behind it. And with so many vendors there, it shouldn't be anything. I mean, if they all gave $5,000 a year, they would have a great budget. I'm struggling here to raise $20,000, $30,000 in Tennessee for the TSFA, and we finally got to the point where we can tie ourselves into these other organizations. If you don't want to individually do it, just give it to a fund and have them tie into these big organizations that are going to funnel the information to you in order to beat this. We have to get organized on a state-by-state level. All right. Let's go ahead and give away the Spyder. We always get sidetracked when we do these shows. Not enough time. Spyder DNA 30 by Ed the Green, my buddy out of Chicago. Of course, some lucky winner from the previous episode that commented on the episode will win it. And for the next giveaway, for the next roundtable, I'm going to go ahead and do the announcement now. I have one of these Transformer mods, which I hate the logo on there, but it vapes. Have a Transformer mod to give away. I'm also going to put inside there the new RDA by Inikin. This is a rebuildable atomizer that Inikin has sent me kindly to review. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it forward to you, our subscribers here on YouTube.
Did you review it first?
No, I have a couple of them. But okay. The review will go up on this week on my channel. The EMEC goes up to 30 watts, and the Inikin, that's going to be in the next episode of the Roundtable Vape Team Media.
The walking, talking Hasbro trademark violation?
Oh, God. It's unbelievable. And again, I'm just going to put it out there that I did say in my video that the vendors themselves should pressure DovePo, whatever the name of that company is, to remove that crap. Don't buy it. If it has a Transformers logo on it, don't buy it. If Hannah's going to sue you for a Hannah mods, can you imagine what Hasbro's going to do to you if you're selling that in your store? Have a little bit of common sense. All right, now let's give it away. Let's get it a lucky one, James.
What did you need? I'm sorry.
We're gonna give it away.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I thought you had a random generator set up. My bad.
No.
Oh, that's right. You can do that quick. Well, you can do that quickly. Set up a
spot.
Okay, hold on.
I thought you had the file. My bad.
There's a file?
Do you want me to pick a number?
Dane has the file.
No,
it's in the Dropbox.
It's in the Dropbox.
No. Oh, okay.
I was not prepared. I was not alerted of this.
You should have paid attention to the Skype
Spyder
message.
entries.
Yeah.
Okay, I got the Spyder entries file.
Okay, get that and put it into a random generator. Put the screen up and let's give it away.
You've woken a sleeping giant now.
How are we doing on e-liquid, James? What are you vaping lately?
Well, you know what? This brings up a sensitive situation because we showed the Mountain Dew labels there. Somebody tweeted a picture of it. I'm not vaping the Mountain Dew stuff right now, but I don't know. This is kind of marginal, I think. This is Uncle Drunk's, okay, and this is the hard lemonade.
Yeah, that definitely looks like
close.
Mike's lemonade.
But I like Mike's hard lemonade. I usually throw a shot or two of vodka in mine, but this is pretty close. I don't know that that's what I'm going to be reviewing, but
you go from twigs and berries to Uncle's junk. I mean, it's just getting.
There's a pattern there. There's a pattern.
I'm going to throw all of these names in
well,
a spreadsheet.
Actually, you should see what I have here. I have some juices that are very uniquely named. One of them is called Booty Call, and the other one is called One Night Stand, and the third is called Morning Wood.
You are not helping your case, bud.
I am trying to figure out how I'm going to do that review with a straight face. What does Morning Wood taste like?
I don't know.
I don't have anything to compare it to.
You know, I think you should do Morning Wood first because in a minute that would probably work best.
You should do Morning Wood first. Absolutely, it's the first thing in the morning. You should definitely do it.
Morning Wood in a minute.
How about you, Dane? What have you been enjoying?
I am now a proud recipient of Zamplebox. Although here's my call out to Zamplebox: you could be first to have juices with child-proof caps in them, and do me a favor when you send out a juice, which I really, really like. I don't know what this is. Wow. I looked at it to try to find out who the vendor was, and it's not listed either. It's an exclusive, so I know how many milligrams are in it. I don't know what the flavor base is. I'm not quite sure.
Oh, wow.
But a little description would really, really help. Yeah. So I've been going through that a lot, and of course I always vape Valor Vapor's Water Dragon. That is just my all-day vape now.
How many numbers how many names are on this list, guys?
I don't know.
Mine is dupes. Probably, I don't know.
Because I can't get it into a spreadsheet to count it because it's formatted wrong.
Oh.
It's in a PDF.
I know.
Can we copy all the names and put them in a notepad?
No, does not work.
Let me see if I can do it.
I've already tried all this.
Never had any.
You gotta love us Mac guys.
Okay, so upcoming reviews. I'll talk about this.
Go ahead. I'll work on it.
Okay. So this is a Mr. 510. This has long been one of my favorite rebuildable tanks, and it's similar to the K-Fun in operation, but it does have a separate juice control, which is nice when you get like a high VG juice. You can actually also control your juice flow in addition to air. And it's got an airy draw on it, actually quite large air holes here. So that's for an upcoming review. And the innovation here is just basically some minor changes to the time-tested design of the mister. It has a 510 connection now. And this is another one. This one I actually picked up in Miami. This is the OG Sacred mod. And it's got the distinction of being one of the hardest-hitting side button devices that I've ever used. And it's a really nice mod. It's really heavy, though. So it's more of a desk mod for me.
All right, Jamie, I have an RTF file.
That doesn't help me, Dimitri.
Okay, I'll take care of it. Let me do it.
It is. That thing is really heavy.
Yeah, it's a dumbbell.
It is. You could crack a skull with that thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So the question comes up, could you mod a shake weight with one of those SX chips?
I have one.
And if so, would shaking the shake weight actually cause your wattage to change?
No.
That's how you make it go up and down.
Hey, Jamie, if I send it to you, will you put a DNA 30 in it?
No, it needs to have an SX in it because it's got that accelerometer, so you can change your voltage.
I mean, I could. I don't know when I would, but...
let me see how the faster it goes up.
I got the man's version even.
All right, can everybody see that? Let me zoom up a little bit.
Oh, there it is.
All right, can everybody see that? I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger. I got all the names, and I've got them inside this randomizer
here. Work for you?
Because I'm good like that.
Can you toggle his video on, Jamie?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay.
All right, can everybody see that?
Yes.
All right, what we're going to do is we're going to randomize the form, and whoever comes up top is going to win the Spyder DNA. Here we go. Steve Tree. Steve T-R-I. 133 people participated. There's Father Jack, number 12. Aw, I wish Father Jack would have won it. Maybe.
Why did P. Busardo enter 7 times?
Did he?
No.
All right, Steve T-R-I. Send us a message on YouTube, private message on YouTube, with your name and your address and your email and your telephone number. And we're going to forward that to Ed the Green to pass it on to you. Congratulations, my friend. You have won a DNA 30. Make sure you participate in the next giveaway. Just leave a comment on the replay of this Roundtable Media. Let's start at the end with Mr. Dane, and we're going to get our closing statements.
Yeah, look for a lot coming up in the future. I will actually be covering a local meet here from Casa Grande, Arizona this Sunday. It's great to be back on the Roundtable. I miss everybody. I miss hanging out with Steph and James. I certainly miss Jamie, and I really wanted to go to Boston. I wish I could have. But you'll see me at a lot of others. I'll be at ECC. Vape Blast, of course, I won't be. But I'll try to make as many as possible. That's absolutely correct. And we said that if Dimitri doesn't know it yet, the spare bedroom is taken.
I got it. I already called it.
Oh, see, I was too late already.
No, I'm pretty sure that's for Phil.
Yeah, I think so. But dinner at Portofino's will be the highlight of that trip. Phil could just sleep in your
bedroom, Dimitri.
I guess he could. He might as well. I mean, I slept with him probably more than with my wife this year. I mean, it's been crazy. We've certainly shared a lot of nights together. All right, Mr. James Martin.
Vape Mall.
Easy, boy.
I will be at, which is the next event? We're going to San
Vape
Antonio.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely going to be at San Antonio. I'm not sure about Chattanooga yet. I'm hoping to be able to go to that as well, schedule allowing, and definitely a lot of reviews coming up. I've got a lot of stuff here, so, yeah. But glad to be able to hang out with everybody again.
Certainly. All right, Miss Beautiful Stephanie.
I am so excited to do this.
And I just lost audio completely.
Oh, we hear you. Or I do. But yeah, I'm just really happy to be here with you guys again. That's awesome. I am going tomorrow to pick up my wedding dress, and after I get back, I'm going to shoot my sample box review. Long awaited. And I'm sure we'll be seeing each other in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And then everywhere else too. So I'm really excited to be just here.
Sounds good. It's nice to see you again, Stephanie. And I hope at least everything's taken care of with your garage and everything goes back to normal as far as that's concerned. And congratulations on your wedding too, by the way.
Yes, congratulations. We wish we were there.
Yes, absolutely.
You're not coming? You're going to jump out of the cake, right?
I didn't get my invitation. It must have gotten lost in the mail.
I haven't done that yet.
It's still a while out. Still a while out. All right, and Mr. Jamie.
This is the longest time in a long time that I haven't actually traveled anywhere. So I went through all the trouble to get TSA pre-check, and I haven't been on a plane since I got it. I don't know my travel plans yet because I'm kind of busy. So I'm going to do my best to be in Chattanooga, and I'm going to try to go to ECC, but I can't make any guarantees. But I'll make sure you guys get a nice rig that maybe you can use.
Yeah, hopefully. I think that the podcaster is working very well. If we can get some wireless microphones going to it, the broadcasting live is very, very difficult to do. And I think by going to the tables and shooting individual interviews where we can actually edit it afterwards, I think that's the best way of approaching it from now on. And if we are set up somewhere like, I know Vape Blast, Baker White is flying us down there. They're going to have a big setup. If we can set up a rig somewhere there to at least, broadcast a little bit of video on Justin TV just for the fun of it, without doing the whole walk around live, we'll do it for you guys because I know a lot of you want to see it and interact. But as far as the replays are concerned, I think the better way of doing this is, and I agree with Jamie, is shooting the video and then editing it out to put a nice production for those of you that can't make it to see what you've missed at the event.
And I truly believe that doing shorter clips from these live events would be really good for us and would create more buzz. Other than that, if you are in the Boston area and you need e-liquid, 100 Main Street, Watertown, New England Vaping Company.
There you go. I'm going to send you a check for that.
I'm the only one that's allowed to plug my store on this show.
I'm going to send you the check for that. All right.
I'm sending you the check.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I want to thank everybody down this line, my entire team. They work really hard, volunteer their time to do what they do for the vape team, what they do for the community, and I certainly appreciate it. All of you are my family, even though I want to kill Jamie sometimes. But that's a different episode.
I want to kill you too, Dimitri. Don't worry about it.
Once again, I have to get my advocacy out there. I don't care what you do in this community, who you support, whether it's FATA, Kassam, Militia, AVA, Free to Vape, whoever is out there, they all have this one common goal, and that is to keep this product affordable and accessible for the million smokers out there. So no matter what you do, just get up off your butt and do something to save vaping. Thank you so much for joining us. YouTube.com/VapeTeam. Subscribe. Have a wonderful evening.
Night, everyone.
Good night.